My mother-in-law stole my son's ashes, but her apology gift was an even worse insult.
You don't say.
Trigger warning, child. My son passed away just over a year ago when he was 7. And it's been pretty hard on everyone in the family, obviously.
Yes.
Mother-in-law was pretty close with him. She babysat him for me while I worked until he passed away. By the way, this comes from Mary Floor, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. But I hope you don't have stories like this to submit because this one's sad.
Yes, it is.
I felt more comfortable leaving him with her as she was a nurse. He was born at 24 weeks and had cerebral palsy and was generally medically fragile. Mother-in-law and I aren't too close. At first, she didn't like me, but seemed to warm up once a significant other and I had kids. She still babysits for us when needed, which is less often these days. Aw, we had our son cremated. Aw. When he was cremated, my mother-in-law suggested that we get a few smaller urns and split up the ashes so we can all have urns. Us, our in-laws, and my parents. Obviously, that did not go down well with me, and I said no because you don't want to separate your child into different urns.
Correct.
She
I don't want to
seemed
laugh.
to admit it was a bad idea and didn't mention it again. For Mother's Day this year, we planned on getting mother-in-law and my mom a necklace with some of his ashes in it, which she knew about as she'd been asking for one. We were up for it. I fancied one myself, so was going to get us all one. But with the vid and everything, we never got around to doing it, which she seemed pretty irritated by at the time, but never mentioned it again, and thanked us for the other gift we sent her. A few days ago, she babysat my daughter at my house. Today, I was cleaning, and while I was cleaning the shelf that we have for our son, for some of his things, pictures, trophies from baseball, tournaments, etc., I noticed his urn was gone.
Excuse me?
Naturally, I freaked out. Asked my daughter if she'd moved it, even though she can't reach. It has never been moved in the time it's been there. This is the urn of her son's ashes.
Yes.
Mother-in-law
boy.
is the only other person that has been in the house. So I called her. She owned up to it right away and explained she took them so she can spend some time with him and get the ashes sent off for her gift because she was disheartened that I didn't get it sorted in time for
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. She hid the urn in her bag so I wouldn't notice and took it home. That's awful. I told her she was completely out of order and demanded she bring the ashes back as I did not give her permission to steal his ashes.
Yeah.
Steal his ashes from his house and his family. But she said as his grandmama rights, she has every right to have him for a while. F that. Even if she'd asked, I probably would have said no, but I'm in complete shock that she would just take him like that.
Truly.
She says she will bring his urn back tomorrow and told me not to be angry about it because what's done is done. But every time I think about it, I get so angry. I'm not being completely over the top to think that's effed up, am I? I'm so worried now that she won't even bring him back, and there is an update. Just adding that we did get his ashes back. Okay, that's a win. I have commented with more details, but it's buried in the comments somewhere. We plan to file a police report. Okay.
It's true. Get him involved.
Which we'll sort tonight
record.
as we can submit it online. We likely won't press charges, but I want to start a paper trail just in case and for peace of mind.
Exactly.
All right, we got the big update. We've been fortunate enough that mother-in-law seems to have gotten the message and has not contacted us since significant other went to her place to get the ashes back. My significant other spoke with his dad, father-in-law, who said that she claimed she's giving us the space we need and seems to think we'll get over it eventually, but I think I'm even more angry at her now. I've had the time to be less upset by it. Now I'm just pissed. This morning, we had a delivery addressed to me. Didn't know what it could be. I had not ordered anything at all recently, but figured I ordered something in my sleep-deprived state at 3 a.m. So it was like a sleepwalking purchase. Wouldn't be the first time. But no, it was a box with a little black fabric bag, and inside was a locket that has ashes in it. Connecting the dots. It was pretty clear straight away. I love that button. Who the ashes belonged to and who the locket came from. I don't know what she was thinking. I knew it was likely she'd taken some. Oh my God. But sending me this just feels like a complete slap in the face. It's probably her poor attempt to apologize, but it feels so wrong and weird getting a part of my son as a gift from my mother-in-law who took him the way she did. She knew what type of jewelry I was looking at, and this is the opposite of it. It's big and bulky and has the words "Together Forever" and what looks like Comic Sans.
Boo! No,
which
you
is
did a Comic Sans
fading
locket.
off.
It's Comic Sans.
It's not my style at all.
Don't argue with the Crocs.
And it looks cheap. I know exactly what type of necklace she wanted made, and I just know she'll be getting the one she wants made, and this is probably some kind of attempt to justify it. I don't mean to be ungrateful, but considering how she got the ashes, I just can't be grateful for that. The significant other thinks we should just ignore it and do nothing. Put the ashes back with the rest and toss the locket. I wanted to put the ashes back and then put the darn locket in her mailbox personally. We won't have to see her, but we'd be sending the message. It just makes me angry that she's treating him and his ashes like some kind of bargaining chip in what I assume is an attempt to make up for what she did. I tried to post a picture of the locket, but it has to be approved by the mod, so I'll skip that for now. There's another update. There's another freaking update.
This is definitely not just ignore it and hope it goes away type of issue. This is a I will probably never look at or feel the same way about you again.
I mean, you need to put up boundaries. This is a moment where you're like, all right, boundaries need to be established and made clear, and distance also needs to be created. Like this is a person that's invading all of your personal space.
I would get the I mean, the police are already involved, but like, what can we do? Because like, this is not okay with me.
I would put the urn in.
This is not. If this was my child, and my mother-in-law took this without my consent and did all of this crap, I'm pressing charges or something.
No, this is. I don't think you're ever.
You're not coming back.
You're probably not welcome again. And not only did you do that, but the locket was tacky.
Yeah. If the locket wasn't tacky, maybe it would have given you some points. Maybe the locket
was just a little classy, I'd feel different about it. But it's a clunky, junky Comic Sans locket.
That's
Update.
Gnarly.
So, a part of me is stoked that she has realized that we don't want anything to do with her anymore. But I'm bummed that she promised my kids something that she's now thrown away. I posted about just no mother-in-law. Oh, okay. Since then, we've been on rocky terms. She has FaceTimed DD twice since, which is all I've been allowing. We have arranged another sitter for when we need one, and she's not allowed in my home anymore. On their first FaceTime, dear daughter told just no mother-in-law that she'd asked Santa for a specific stuffed animal she'd seen in Target. We'd struggled to find this specific animal after she'd seen it one time, so I was bummed that we wouldn't be able to get it for her. We found a few alternatives instead, and just now mother-in-law texted me a picture the next day asking if the animal she'd just found in Target was the one dear daughter wanted. I said yes. I don't know how she'd managed to find one, and despite wanting no contact, I asked if she could buy one for me and I'd pay her back. Instead, she insisted that she buy it for her for Christmas. I was like, okay, sure. For my kid's sake, and she'd already reluctantly agreed that any present she gave would be left on our doorstep, and she wouldn't be allowed in the house at all during the holidays. On the next FaceTime, just no mother-in-law actually hints to dear daughter that she'd bought her the animal. Dear daughter, or darling daughter, catches on, and all she starts to talk about to me is the fact that she's going to get the toy. I was a bit bitter about it, honestly, but anyway. Fast forward a few days, and she starts messaging my husband asking if she can come over on Christmas Eve like usual. The audacity. After all you've done to be like, yeah, like, can we just forget about the fact that I stole your son's ashes and put it in a tacky Comic Sans junk locket? Just forget about that.
I have a feeling I know what's going to happen.
She's going to put the ashes in the bear. Of course, we continue to refuse. No, we're not going to let you stealing mother-in-law come into our house.
That's right.
Bad terms aside, there's a pandemic, and we're not inviting anyone into our home, even those that we are on good terms with. In response, she said she wasn't going to give dear daughter the toy at all if she couldn't give it to her in person. So she tried to blackmail us, which we didn't give into. So she threw out the toy.
Why?
Told us she had and blamed us for ruining dear daughter's Christmas. I'm furious. Not only did she tell dear daughter that she got it for her, she then let her stupid vendetta against us ruin it for dear daughter. She's a witch and I hate her, and I don't know what to tell my poor baby girl when she doesn't even have a present at all from her grandma on Christmas Day. But luckily, we have a present for you every day.
That's right.
If you just go to our podcast, OK Storytime, wherever you get your podcast, we have 47 straight days. 48 straight 24-hour days that you could listen to this podcast. So get listening. My husband ran to multiple targets again today, and they still don't have one. He asked the staff, and they said there's none. I've asked on my local Facebook, and a few people have said they'll keep a lookout. I'm just hoping that someone has one at home they don't want so I can get her one before Christmas. Edit. Thank you so much to those offering to look. I have a promising lead on Facebook, but if it falls through, I will reach out. You are all awesome, and I'm tearing up reading all your offers. Edit. The Facebook lead worked out. Let's go. You got a present for your dear daughter. Thanks again for the offers, but thankfully she'll have one for Christmas. Making sure she knows it from us, though, and not the stealing grandma. Boom.
Big facts. Yeah, grandma's out. Grandma's
out. That
out.
is
3 strikes, out. You're done.
My mother was given away as a child. Now her biological family wants her to care for them.
Goo goo gaga?
I, 35 female, grew up in the U.S., born and raised in Austin, Texas. My father, 70 male, is Canadian, and my mother, 68 female, is Greek. Every summer we vacationed in Greece with my maternal grandparents. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Sout at 9042, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, when I was 25, my parents retired and moved permanently to Greece after my mother inherited a house and a significant amount of money from her mother when she passed away. That's when things took a strange turn. During the last few months of my grandmother's life, my mom went to Greece to care for her, as she was no longer able to care for herself. In her final days, my grandmother revealed a shocking secret. My mom was adopted! She wasn't the biological child of the parents who raised her. Thank you for defining adopted. Instead, she was the daughter of my grandmother's cousin. Apparently, in Greece, decades ago, it was common for struggling families with many children to give a baby to a relative who couldn't have kids. My mother was devastated. She grieved the fact that she never knew her real family and that no one ever told her. After my grandmother passed, she decided to move to Greece to reconnect with the biological family she never met. She traveled to the region where her biological mother lived and met her for the first time, along with 2 older brothers and a younger sister. Her oldest brother was especially emotional because he vaguely remembered the day they gave my mother away as a baby. But from the start, my mom was hurt that none of them had ever tried to find her. Their excuse was that she had moved to the US and it was difficult to track her down. While her biological mother said she had made a pact with her cousin, my adoptive grandmother, never to reveal the truth. The entire village had been told that my mom had passed away as a baby, so no one even questioned it.
Why?
I'd
rather tell them all that they're no longer alive instead of just being like, we couldn't afford to have the baby, so we had to give it away.
And we just never told anyone?
That's kind of pathetic, not gonna lie.
I mean, I understand.
Own it.
Yeah, just tell her, yeah.
Own your position. Own it.
For the past 10 years, my parents have lived in Greece and my mom has built a close relationship with her siblings. However, her relationship with her biological mother has remained distant and formal. I mean, of course. This person told her adoptive grandmother to keep this lie from, or, keep the truth from her for her whole life, and also gave her away. So obviously that's going to be a complicated relationship. She never got over the fact that this woman kept all her other children but gave her away, likely because she was a girl. At the time, boys were valued more because they worked the fields and contributed to the family's income, whereas girls were seen as a burden. 2 years ago, I was able to move to Greece as well since the parents who raised my mom left her a sizable inheritance. It allowed us to live comfortably and honestly. I preferred the lifestyle here. We live in a beautiful place near the capital and life is peaceful. Now here's the issue. My mom's biological mother is now 96 years old and in very poor health. Her biological father passed away decades ago due to political circumstances. Her 2 older brothers, her sister lives abroad, have been taking care of their mother, but they are exhausted. Their wives are complaining, tensions are rising, and at a recent family gathering, they told my mom that she should also help take care of their mother because it's unfair that they are doing it alone, to which she should say, well, it was unfair that she gave me away, so,
Yeah, what's more unfair? That
Bummer.
or being given away when you're a baby?
Bummer.
Oh, so you find me when you need something
Yeah.
from me. That's convenient.
My father was furious when he heard this and told my mother to cut them off entirely. My mom refuses to take care of this woman. She doesn't love her, doesn't feel any emotional connection to her, and can't forgive her for abandoning her. My mom is not close to this woman, and of course she has no legal claim to any inheritance from this family. However, she has truly enjoyed her relationship with her siblings and their children and doesn't want to lose that. She's feeling pressured though, and she's deeply upset by their demands. When I found out, I was livid. How dare these people ask this of my mother, knowing full well that she was abandoned and that no one ever attempted to find her. I feel like they're manipulating her and she's unable to see how unfair this is. I'm getting married in a month to my fiance, who is Greek and fully supportive of me, and I am seriously considering uninviting all of them from the wedding. I want to send a clear message that we don't want contact with them anymore. However, my mother is hesitant. She doesn't want to escalate things even though she's hurting. I feel like she's not as attached to these people as she thinks. She's mourning the idea of the family she never had rather than truly loving these people. And I hate seeing her being taken advantage of. I always idealized Greece and the strong bonds of family, but now I see that's not always the case. I'm so disappointed by all of this. What would you do in this situation? Would you cut them off? Would you disinvite them from the wedding? How can I help my mother navigate this? And edit, I forgot to mention something I think is important. My mom suggested they find a senior care facility to put her biological mother in. She even offered to pay a quarter of the price. My biological uncles were offended because they said it was disrespectful to put their mother in a nursing home. Another Greek thing. Although they are generally financially comfortable, a quarter for a good structure can mean $400 to $500 per person per month, which by Greek standards is enough. I think their idea of help is taking her biological mother home for a few months. And there are some comments and an update, but no, your mother should not be honestly should not help them kind of at all. They don't even deserve her money. Like it's incredibly kind that she's even offering that. I also don't think they deserve to come to the wedding anymore.
It's just a really hard situation to navigate for the mom.
Absolutely. This is a family that she didn't know about for her whole life, finds out about, reaches out to, thinks that she's gained this, whole new side. And now they're trying to exploit her. It's devastating.
They're manipulating her,
Yeah.
Because they know that she has now found this thing that she didn't have. But you can't give these people any money for the woman who abandoned you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you will be able to maintain a real relationship with them because it's always going to come back to this thing of like, well, you didn't help us. You didn't help our mom. But it's like, it's not our mom. It's your mom. That's not my mom. It's your mom.
Exactly.
So you're probably going to have to come to terms with losing that.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard.
But there are some comments. Mermaid Studio says your mom doesn't owe her anything and her siblings are being unfair. Cutting them off completely might be extreme if she still values the relationship, but she should set firm boundaries. For the wedding, if their presence would stress you or your mom out, uninvite them. If you'd rather keep things neutral, that's fine too. Do what feels right for you both. Maybe Cherie says, likely the sons are tired of taking care of mom and I'm betting their wives are complaining the most. Wives are, what is this new daughter doing? She should help. Heaven only knows how much help they think your mom should do. It is a slippery slope with no good outcome. Creating distance and firm boundaries between your mom and new siblings is best. And OP responds, that's my thought exactly. I am having second thoughts and surely some comments gave me some perspective, but that's my main thought. And there is an update. So we're going to jump right into that because I think we're all on the same page. about this family. Update. Hey, y'all. I've decided to share it with my mom, the post, and let her read your comments. She was really moved by the similar stories some of you shared. This led to a deep conversation between us. Over the past few years, my mom has learned a lot about her adoption. Unfortunately, my bio grandma was not a good person. It doesn't seem like she was. The wife of one of my bio uncles, let's call her Maria, sat my mom down a few years ago and told her everything. Turns out my bio grandma was a very strict and spiteful woman who treated the people who worked for her horribly. She never wanted daughters and even tried to give away her other daughter, but that adoption fell through, so she kept her. Ugh.
Wow.
Oh, this person is a nightmare.
Ugh.
My bio aunt went through a really tough time growing up, and that's why she moved abroad. Her brothers never supported her the way they should have, and they even cheated her out of part of her inheritance. So the brothers also. Maria is now thinking about leaving her husband since their kids are grown, and she doesn't want to stay married to a man she knows isn't a good person. As for my mom, she never felt a bond with her bio mother, but after hearing everything from Maria, she decided she doesn't want much contact at all. She knows exactly what kind of people her bio brothers are and never wanted a super close relationship with them. They're not in daily contact anyway, but she does feel attached to her nieces, nephews, and their wives. That's the main reason she hasn't cut ties completely. My mom has decided she will help financially, but won't take bio grandma into her home. I mean, again, that is already going way above and beyond.
Don't take this little demon woman into your home.
I mean, she's not.
Don't do that.
She's definitely not. She's just giving her
Don't do
money,
that.
which is a lot. She's doing it mainly to support her bio sister, who is under pressure from their brothers to care for their mother. My mom has tried to get closer to her bio sister over the years, but her sister has kept her distance. She explained that she has deep trauma from growing up with her mother and wants to maintain some emotional space, but she's still happy they met. This past Christmas, my bio aunt came to Greece and stayed at our house. I wasn't there because I was visiting friends in the Netherlands, but my mom and her sister spent time together and it brought them closer. My aunt told my mom to cut off her brothers completely and even invited her to move to her country. Wow. She has made it clear she wants only a formal relationship with the rest of the family, except for my mom, who she loves dearly. Side note for the skeptics, my aunt is financially independent and comfortable. She has never asked my mom or anyone else for anything. I think that's the way to go. Stick with the family member who's actually cool and doesn't want to take your money.
What a crazy notion that would be.
I had no idea about most of this because my mom doesn't want me to see my uncles in a bad light. She still thinks she'll keep some minimal relationship with them, but she's especially close with a few of her nieces and nephews and doesn't want to lose that. One of my cousins, Maria's son, even confided in my mom that he wants to cut ties with his father. When my bio uncle asked my mom for help, this cousin, who's only 25, pulled her aside and told her to stay away and not give them anything because they don't deserve it. That really got to me. It showed me that not everyone in this family is selfish or manipulative. I actually have a good relationship with this cousin. He gets along great with my fiance since they work in the same field. After learning all this, I met up with him last night and we talked. He has moved out on his own, but still keeps some contact with his dad, mainly because he wants to wait until Maria leaves before cutting ties completely. He told me that his father and uncle inherited a lot of wealth and never really had to work. They started some businesses, but when they struggled, they took large sums of money from bio grandma and other relatives. Now they're recovered and live comfortably, but they never paid back what they owed. My cousin is ashamed of his family's actions and doesn't want to be judged for them. He also believes they're trying to financially exploit my mom. Because he cares about her and really respects my parents, he warned them not to get involved. I mean, they're clearly trying to financially exploit her. If they have the money to take care of the mom and they're coming to OP and trying to guilt her into this,
Where do they build these people? Like in a laboratory out of just
evil
faulty
laboratory.
human parts?
Yeah, it's kind of a Frankenstein's lab situation. After everything, my parents and I made a decision. My mom will give one lump sum of money for her bio mother's care. Whether they put her in a nursing home or hire a caregiver is their problem. She will also have a final talk with her brothers to make it clear that she is not taking care of their mother because that woman was never a mother to her. When Maria managed to get divorced, which my parents want to support her through, we expect the relationship with the brothers to fall apart. My mom is still sad that she never found the ideal family she imagined, but she feels lucky to have her sister, Maria, and her nephew, whom she truly loves. As for the wedding, we decided to invite them to avoid unnecessary drama. That's the update for now. I truly appreciate all the comments and support. I feel sorry for those who have gone through similar painful experiences, and I hope no one has to go through this again. And P.S., someone in the comments, probably a Greek, suggested that my bio grandpa might have passed away for political reasons because he was fighting against the Nazis. Unfortunately, it was the exact opposite. My bio grandparents were right-wing extremists at a time when the left-right conflict in Greece led to suffering and A lot of their wealth came from unethical means. Okay, so your bio grandma and grandpa are terrible people. Confirmed.
Thank God you got given away.
The terrible people confirmed. It seems like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure that your mom had a very, that's just like a lot of trauma to learn. Seems like she kind of came out on top here.
Yeah, and don't give any of these any money.
No.
You're not, don't give them money.
Nope. But you can give us your time by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left. Any thoughts? Sometimes.
The truth shall set you free. And it just took a little bit to get there.
Yeah.
First, you thought the truth was, I missed out on having a family.
And then
you learned that the truth is that you didn't have to deal with a bunch of NAZIS.
Yeah, I was
being
saved
your
from
family
having
I love
this
that
family.
Bum, bum, dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun.
that's funny.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit left. Lastly, I feel terrible for ever doubting my grandparents, the one who actually raised my mom. They were amazing, kind, and compassionate people who helped so many others in the U.S. Everything they had was earned through hard work. I'm so grateful they adopted my mom, and I wish they had also taken in my aunt. Thank you again, everyone. If I have another update, I will be back. And that is the end of that story. Honestly, to your mom's comment about, wishing she had that family, she does. She has that family, in your adoptive grandparents.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is the end of that story. My mother-in-law thinks she's the mother of my kids and even tried to make it legal.
Stop. I'm going to make that illegal because that's wrong.
So I understand that SO should have made an active attempt to keep mother-in-law at a distance, but I truly believe he has only now woke up to her and her actions, and he now realizes how truly messed up the situation is. By the way, this comes from I'm Ariel, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. My partner, male 24, and I, female 21, share one biological child together, male 4 months, and my stepson, male 3. My partner and I got pregnant early into the relationship. Oops. We have been together for 1.5 years. I understand this isn't long, but I didn't realize the absolute crap show of a family I was getting myself into before I fell pregnant. My partner at the time did not see his son, my stepson, often, and when he did, his son would go to mother-in-law for the sleep side of things, as she insisted. This arrangement was something created between SO and mother-in-law before my arrival into the relationship. SO used to live in an Airbnb when he and stepson's mom broke up, and stepson's mom still lived in the granny flat, refusing to see SO. Todd is OP's SO. During this time, when stepson's mom couldn't look after him, mother-in-law would step in instead of Todd. Todd is now in court for custody orders between him and stepson's mom, and they are able to communicate well regarding stepson now. We have him fortnightly from Thursday to Sunday. Early into the relationship, I helped Todd clean up rooms filled with stepson's mother's dirty clothes in the granny flat to create a room for stepson to live in and feel at home. And we're going to call stepson, we'll call him Billy. I pushed Todd to work with Billy's mother to establish some kind of care agreement. I went out and bought Billy clothes, toys, posters, a bed, etc. with Todd so that he had a place to feel like he belonged while he was over. This also gave Todd more confidence to care for Billy alone and not rely on mother-in-law. Mother-in-law never let Todd figure things out on his own before I was around. She would constantly try to tend to Billy at any given moment and offer to look after Billy for the night so Todd could sleep. She would cry and beg until Todd allowed her to take him. This later created a horribly toxic relationship between Billy and mother-in-law, which would become a recurring issue. We currently live with my mother-in-law. Early in the relationship, she convinced Todd and me to move in with her to save money, claiming I was wasting money by renting. She has always been frugal and believes everything has value. She is also a significant hoarder with the backyard completely run down and cluttered with items everywhere.
Oh, this is going to be an ICU for...
She has a tendency to take out loans and never repay them or go on payment plans for unnecessary items. One is a massage chair, where she makes one payment and then ghosts the company. She taught Todd not to pay back his car loan to the bank, convincing him that it was the people's money and that debt collectors couldn't do anything if he just never answered their calls.
I'm sorry. No.
She would ask about the loan constantly and get upset when he told her he made a payment. She would then create some kind of debt he owed her, rent, phone bills, etc., that needed to be paid urgently, blaming his bank repayment for why he couldn't pay her, and that he should do what she's been telling him to do and just ignore all of her calls and not pay her back.
Yeah, simple as that.
She convinced Todd to transfer most of his important assets, car, phone, etc., into her name and made herself a nominee on his bank loans to speak on his behalf. I have since convinced Todd Todd to start making repayments, explaining the legal reality to him. Because we are now considered de facto if debt collectors came after him, my belongings could also be seized to make up for the outstanding balance, confirmed with a lawyer.
Oh, fun. Good. Great.
Yeah, pay
great.
your debts, man. We have since removed her as a nominee on the loan.
Good.
My credit score is fantastic.
Good.
I always pay my bills in advance. Todd's credit score, on the other hand, is the gutter, with unpaid bills that have been forgotten for years and the debt collector problem. I didn't know any of this before falling pregnant. Mother-in-law moved into the granny flat into the backyard while I was around 7 months pregnant, and Todd and I moved into the main house to prepare for our family. Again, this was her idea. At the time, I was beyond grateful for the opportunity to have a house to live in and grow my family in while we search for a rental. Well, what an effed up idea that turned out to be. Over the last few months, I've realized all of her so-called good deeds and offers were ill-intended. I didn't even know 1/8 of what I know now regarding her relationship with Todd and the kids, and the true state of the home we now live in. Todd grew up with mother-in-law shielding him from his father until just a few years ago. Mother-in-law has kept Todd around to fill her own voids, ghosting all her friends and other family members. She makes comments such as, "You're my baby," to Todd, and "I do everything for my grandchildren." Whenever Todd stands up to mother-in-law, she runs to Todd's dad, who then asks, "Why is your mom upset?" Todd is always made to feel wrong or guilty and ends up apologizing. For my baby shower, I had a message board where everyone could write notes for the baby. Mother-in-law was the only one who drew a massive heart around her name and wrote, "Forever love from mother-in-law, Mum, Nana." She truly believes she is the mother to Todd's kids, or at least tries to be. My baby was in the NICU for his first month. When he came home, I was beside myself, terrified of hurting him and struggling with P&D, made worse by the lack of sleep. Mother-in-law offered to babysit, let's name him Tommy, my bio son. I just said fine.
I know. Just
Shocked. For a few hours, so Todd could sleep. Never me, of course. She kept offering, and Todd accepted. I asked her to only stay for a few hours if she was comfortable, not all night, and constantly reassured her that I'd be back in 3 to 4 hours to take Tommy. Mother-in-law insisted, getting upset and saying she'd stay all night because she loved it. I told Todd I wasn't comfortable with this, but he gave me an ultimatum. Unless I planned to stay up all night, I should let mother-in-law do it. What? Mother-in-law looked after Tommy nearly every night for 2 weeks. I regret this hard. I forgave Todd for a lot during late pregnancy, labor, and postpartum. I was afraid of arguing, so I pushed a lot aside. He slept in my bed a few hours after I gave birth while I sat in a chair, rocking our baby to sleep, too afraid of what would happen when he woke up. While Tommy and I were in the hospital, him for breathing issues and ICU, me for preeclampsia, Todd kept making points about needing to go home to feed and walk the dog, go to the gym, etc. He hated sleeping on the recliner bed. We had a plan for what to do with Billy if I went into labor while he was at our house. We agreed he would go back to his mom. Mother-in-law, however, cried and begged Todd on the phone while I was being induced to keep Billy, promising to look after him. Todd gave in. I now resent Todd and don't know if we will stay together. I'm terrified of what that means for Tommy because I believe Todd will make amends with mother-in-law, and when Tommy visits him, mother-in-law will be around to take him. Recently, Todd, his dad, and stepmom have had a falling out with mother-in-law. We have been searching for homes and trying to cut ties with her. She started going through our bins, Googling my medications and telling me not to take them, name-calling and manipulating Billy, fake crying when he wouldn't give her a hug, then laughing when he did. Mother-in-law has not seen Tommy in nearly 2 months. Since the major falling out, she also hasn't seen Billy. Now she is threatening Todd, claiming she has grandparent rights to see both children. She insists she has the right to see Billy because she had him more, yet says, "I'm respecting your space and boundaries and waiting for you to let me know when I can see them." But you can see us right now or in the future if you listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story.
I think this is like a reality check for the mother-in-law. Her
Yeah.
world is falling apart to
Yeah.
what she already had, and
Well,
it was already falling apart.
Finally, OP's partner is Todd is freaking waking up because I'm sure OP has been trying to
Yeah.
say like, hey, your mother is getting too involved.
Keep in mind too, OP is very young.
OP's 21, but also acting a lot more mature than the 24-year-old.
Yeah,
But I mean, these are young
see her. I
parents.
can see the mother-in-law manipulating, what she did in the very beginning,
Absolutely, yeah, she
manipulating and like, no, this is what adults do. Like, no, I got this. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, with the right people and the right in-laws or just parents and grandparents, they want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also sure, like, because Todd was probably 20 when he, I
Met
think
his
20,
father.
probably, 20 when he became a father.
Became a father
Yeah.
and also met his father.
And met his father. Crazy. Not only does she see Todd as her child, but she also manipulates manipulates and dumbs him down to keep him attached to her. She's now treating the kids as hers and is willing to fight us in court for visitation. I am trying so hard to make this work, to pull Todd out of the financial and emotional mess mother-in-law created, but with everything happening, I think this relationship will fail. And if it does, mother-in-law may end up raising my son with me having no real leg to stand on. I think you just have to prioritize not really. Honestly, I feel like right now you can't really prioritize helping Todd get out of his financial situation.
This is the only thing you can do is
Prioritize
focus
yourself.
on yourself and
make sure you
your
have a
kids.
great place. You have a place to live. You have a job. Like, make sure all of that is
as
clear,
stable as can be. That is not
so that you can get
toxic.
access
Yeah.
to your, or you can get custody of your kids.
That's because
keep custody.
you thought mother-in-law would have been like a safe haven. Like, we get a
Okay,
house.
yeah.
We have.
It's
I
like,
can
no.
actually have a roof over my head.
It's
And
all
start a family
no
and
such thing as a free lunch.
get away from that
Yeah.
situation. Take your kids away from that situation because
Absolutely.
that is very toxic.
Yeah, but that is the end of that story.
My mother-in-law insulted me and refuses to apologize. I don't want her at the wedding.
You don't want the insulting woman who won't apologize at your wedding?
Background. I, 21 female, was recently on vacation with my fiance, 23 male, and his family. He has a daughter, 3 female from a previous relationship. So everyone aside from the daughter is an adult. We were all in one vacation house, including my daughter, and there were 10 people there. By the way, this comes from Icy Gummy Bear. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So the daughter absolutely adores her grandmother, my future mother-in-law, and grandfather, my future father-in-law. As much as I would love to be his daughter's mother, it's been made pretty clear to me by his family that I will never be seen as her mother in their eyes. Despite how much I try, I don't think you can try. The actual mother is very touch and go and doesn't see her daughter much, despite the custody agreement, and constantly cancels. There's a chance that because of a genetic condition I am likely to have, that I may not be able to have children. This is something I have talked freely about for a few months now, and his family is aware. Now on to what happened. It was late evening on the final full day of vacation. We were all supposed to leave late morning / early afternoon the following day. My future mother-in-law went to her room to get ready for bed and start packing. My fiance's daughter ran after her and then decided to go into the room my fiance's brothers and one of their girlfriends share. She opened the door and ran in. I followed her because she wasn't supposed to go in there, as his family made clear. I tried to coax her out, but she wanted to be with my fiance's brother's girlfriend. She, however, was getting ready for some pictures, and to avoid his family fussing at her or me for letting her stay, I picked her up. She immediately screamed and threw herself back, trying to get out of my arms. I did everything I could to try and keep her from hitting anything as she did, but she headbutted the wall. Oof. I immediately put my hand where she just got hurt and started comforting her as I carried her out of the room. My fiance's brother's girlfriend saw all of this happening, and she insisted that I did nothing wrong. As I left the room, my future mother-in-law stormed out of hers and looked very angry. I told her that the little girl got upset when I picked her up and she hit her head while trying to get down. She snatched the little girl out of my arms and said, "Just don't have kids. Just don't." Then she went back into her room with the little girl and slammed the door. Felt like the old 1-2 to the guts. I stood there in shock for a second until I felt the tears welling up in my eyes. I ran to the room that my fiance and I shared and locked the door. I needed to be alone. I was sobbing and just throwing my stuff in bags. I had texted my mom to let her know what happened. I thought they were going to have to pick me up since there's no way I could drive 4 hours like this. My fiance stood on the other side of the door, begging me to let him in. After a few minutes, when I could finally catch my breath, I let him in and locked the door behind him. I told him what happened while still crying. He sighed and went to go talk to his mom. He told her that what she said was extremely inappropriate. She agreed that it was inappropriate, however, stood by what she said and started listing why I didn't need to have kids.
Bro, what?
She's
What
like, yeah,
are
I
you
was
doing?
wrong, but let me do it some more.
You're like, yeah, I was wrong. Let me double down. Let me double down, though, because I wasn't wrong the right way.
I felt so empty. I continued packing everything I had brought for myself. I moved all of the toddler's things together into a more accessible place for his family since I planned on leaving alone. She never apologized. She stood her
Trash.
ground. He tried to talk to her. I could hear it between my crying. I did my best to ignore it, but she was yelling. She talked about how I wasn't involved enough with the toddler. I tried to be as involved as possible, but I could not make any decisions for her or take her myself anywhere. I wish I could, I really do, but no one else aside from my fiance would be comfortable with it. They aren't even comfortable with me being involved in any conversations regarding her future or her mother. Eventually, he was back at the door, asking me to let him inside. I did. I told him that I appreciated what he said and it was okay if he wanted to stay here, but I was going home. He tried to talk me out of it, but then said that he was coming too. I told him that I no longer wanted his mother to be in my life. Whoa.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that person in my life either. I'm not going to lie.
I told him that I wasn't going to prevent him or his daughter from seeing her, but that I wasn't going to. I understood how important she was to him and his daughter, but I couldn't do anything around her anymore. I told him that I was done making excuses for her and apologizing to her when I got upset at something she said. She has never once apologized for anything she has said to me or about me, and I've always had to apologize to her despite having never said anything back or argued. I've always just taken it, no matter what she said or yelled at me. I remained quiet and would leave to cry alone. I was always being told by various people anytime this happened that it was just how she is and to not take it to heart. He sighed, but agreed. He said he wouldn't make me be around her. I asked him a few more times if he was sure that he wanted to leave with me. I told him that my parents could come down and one of them could bring my car back while I rode with the other. That he didn't have to leave, and neither did his daughter. They could stay and enjoy the rest of the day and the following day, and it wouldn't upset me. He insisted on coming with me, but wanted his daughter to stay with his family so that they could have the full vacation. His brother and his brother's girlfriend knocked, asking if they could come in. They told me I did nothing wrong, that it was just how she was and did not take it to heart. They said that I was strong for being able to take what she said and what she has said in the past and still be with my fiance. They showed me a crab they had caught to cheer me up.
Cool. Hey.
It worked a little.
It's like, hey, I
Here's a
caught this.
crab.
I caught this crustacean. I was hoping it might
And I was
make you
thinking
feel
of
better.
you. I was still crying, but I smiled at their kindness.
It worked.
Yeah.
Said,
Sometimes if someone's in a crabby mood,
it does make
they
me
need
feel
just
a
that little crab.
Look at
The
his face.
girlfriend said that if it was her, she would have left a long time ago because of it. I admitted that in the past I almost did. They talked to me a few more minutes. I thanked them, gave the girlfriend a hug, and they left. We finished packing and we left around 10 p.m. We went into the gas station to fill up, use the restrooms, and get some snacks for the road. I don't think I stopped crying. I cried for so long that my eyes swelled shut and I
Aw.
fell asleep. I woke up an hour or so later, about halfway through the car ride, and just silently cried. My fiance kept trying to cheer me up and talk to me. I would talk to him, but the tears won't stop no matter how badly I wanted them to. I felt so hurt and empty. What hurt worse was when he said that she made valid points about why we shouldn't have any kids right now. I told him that I didn't think I was cut out to have kids and that I made a terrible mother. Oh, he was hurt that I had said that and tried to get me to calm down. He kept talking about how much I did for his daughter and how great I was with her, but all I could hear was him saying that she made valid points and their arguments from earlier. I'm still pretty hurt by it all, and it has been 5 days now. I know better than to think she will ever apologize. I never want to have to be around her again. I don't want to enter her apartment when we have to drop/pick off his daughter. I don't want her at our wedding or in our possible future kids' lives if we even have kids. He still wants her to be at the wedding and in our hypothetical kids' lives. The most I have agreed to is to wait in the car when we go to pick up/drop off his daughter. I will not go in her apartment. He agreed to do that, but is disappointed.
How is he disappointed in you and not his mom?
I have tried for nearly 2 years to build a relationship with his mother, and I feel like every time it starts to build, stuff like this happens. I know she means a lot to him, and that is why I have tried so hard. She was even one of the first outside family people to know about me not being able to have children. So, am I overreacting? Should I apologize to her and his family for overreacting and bringing drama in their vacation? Should I stand my ground politely? Edit, change spacing so it isn't a wall of text. And there is an update. It's been a little over a week since I made my original post. I've spoken with my fiance about this and how I feel about it. He spoke with his mother about it, and she said that the closest I will get to an apology is her admitting that she was wrong to say it, which she has done to him. She has not spoken to me at all or even tried to message me. I do not have her blocked anywhere. She and his family have said that she would have said that to anyone in that situation, and it wasn't just me. So she's just a piece of work just in general. And I think that's worse, to be honest. I am conflicted on whether or not I should consider an apology. On one hand, she has admitted that she was wrong. On the other hand, I wasn't the one she said that to, and she has said that that is the closest I will ever get to an apology. My fiance has said that if I still do not want her in the wedding, that's okay. He said that to keep the peace with his family, he would just not invite anyone on his side, which I do not think he would do or should do. He should be able to invite other people in his family without it being an issue, but he insists.
Yeah, that's just, you're making it worse. You're just making it worse now.
I feel really awful about it, and that's the main reason I've been conflicted on whether or not I should consider her admitting she was wrong to him as an apology. I do think that I will continue to keep any contact with her at a minimal amount. Aside from that, I'm just not sure. Nothing feels like the right move. Accepting her telling him she was wrong to say that to me as an apology makes me feel like it's really not an apology, which it's not, and would happen again. But not accepting it makes me feel like I've gone too far. Allowing her in the wedding without a proper apology makes me feel like a doormat. But not allowing her makes me feel awful. I'm just really unsure about it all, to be completely honest. No matter what I feel, it just feels like a bad decision. The only thing I'm sure about is keeping her at a distance so it will not have a chance to happen again. By the way, what should always happen again is you listening to our podcast, OK Storytime, wherever you get your podcast. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's a relevant update, which I'm just going to get straight into. For some context about the wedding, it is planned to be very small. We want to do it in a court, and we are still okay with his family, mother-in-law included, to be at the party afterwards. The discussion was purely about the actual wedding. Likely, it would just have been our respective parents. However, he wanted to not have either of his parents because it would cause a bunch of drama if he only invited his dad, or his dad would have brought her instead. It's not like he was uninviting his entire family. I probably should have clarified that in the original post.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where that ends.
My mother-in-law keeps crossing our boundaries. I finally snap.
Is that Thanos I see?
My 32 female mother-in-law moved into the just no status a little over a year ago when my husband and I found out that we were expecting. She can be very loving and helpful, but then she'll use that as an excuse to boundary stomp and guilt trip. I've decided to no longer accept any sort of assistance from her because it always comes with strings attached. By the way, this comes from Pickled Carrot 19. And if you want to send in your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit.
Nice.
So I gave birth to my son back in June. We did not allow hospital visitors, did not allow home visitors the first week, and we do not allow kissing. All of this caused my mother-in-law to become hysterical. She accused us of trying to keep her grandson and wanting her out of our lives. She complained to anyone who listened about how terrible it was that they were keeping our newborn from her for a week, for 7 days. Time passed, and now our baby is 7 months old. She got over the no visitors incident and has now decided she will not adhere to the no kissing rule, but only when my husband is not around. I have caught her kissing him multiple times, and each time I take my son back and firmly told her no. I'm guessing because of like germs.
Yes.
My husband and I talked about it and agreed that she is no longer allowed to hold our son until she proves that she can be respectful of our boundaries. We significantly reduced contact with her, but my husband believes that she's not bad enough to go full no contact with. Because of her attitude shift in recent times, he believes she'll grow out of it and become better. He is supportive of my decision to no longer try with her and assured me that he will be the one handling her so that way I don't have to deal with any of her BS. Yesterday, my mother-in-law called me and I ignored her call and told my husband. He said he would call her back in a minute, but she kept calling me, so I finally answered and I put her on speakerphone, and she immediately started ranting about how she saw the pictures I posted on Instagram of my husband and me kissing our baby son's cheeks.
That's different. He has our immune system.
She said it wasn't fair that we're allowed to kiss our baby, but she wasn't. I finally lost it, and I said, fair? You think it's not fair that I'm not allowed to kiss my baby? Was it fair that I was hospitalized twice because my nausea was so severe it caused me to be dangerously dehydrated? Was it fair that I spent the last month of my pregnancy with a fractured rib because of my baby? Was it fair that dear husband became the sole provider because I wasn't able to work anymore? Was it fair that dear husband was the only one to cook and clean because I physically could not get out of bed for longer than an hour or two at a time? Was it fair that my had second-degree tearing? Was it fair that I couldn't pee or dookie normally for weeks after I gave birth? Was it fair that dear husband footed the bill for all of the hospital visits, the diapers, the formula, the wipes, the clothing, and everything else our family needs? Is it fair? The dear husband and I are the only ones losing sleep every single night because our baby wakes up every hour. And
no, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not fair.
Dakota, is it fair?
No.
Is it fair that dear husband has to go to work every day and comes home and starts parenting without a break? Dakota, is it fair that I spend all day, every day, with a screaming baby while covered in his drool and spit up? Of course it's fair.
It's fair if you had a kid.
Because it's our baby.
Right, exactly.
It's our baby,
there
Dakota.
We
it's
go.
our baby. And that's exactly what we signed up for when we became parents. We endured every difficult part of parenthood so far, and we will enjoy all of our parenting privileges too. So yes, dear husband and I are going to kiss our baby because we made him. You do not have any parenting responsibilities or privilege with him because he is not your child, Dakota.
Correct.
Stop trying to relive your glory days by putting your mouth on someone else's baby.
Keep your mouth off my baby.
And then I hung up.
And then everyone clapped.
I'm going to be honest and say that I had a speech planned. I knew one day that she would see me kiss my little chunky baby and claim that it was unfair. So I knew what I was going to say when that time came. Poor husband has been dealing with the fallout of the phone call. He was there for the whole thing. He and his mom are going out for lunch this weekend, and he plans to have a serious talk with her. He's considering going no contact with her, but we will decide based on how their conversation goes. And we have an update. I'm just going to jump right in. My husband had lunch with the mother-in-law yesterday. Before he went in, we sat down and wrote down all the talking points we wanted to discuss so we wouldn't forget any of them during lunch. It went as expected. She was upset I wasn't there to apologize to her. Dear husband said it was because I had nothing to apologize for. She tried to lecture me about how hypocritical I am when I cut her off and listed all the things that she has done starting from my pregnancy up until now. She repeatedly touched my belly without permission after being told to stop. She tried to invite her friends, people we don't even know, to my baby shower. My parents hosted and paid for the entire thing. She threw a fit when we told her that we were picking out his name. Oh no, that's bad.
Dude, that's our baby. We get to pick our child's name.
You already got your turn, Granny, and we're not accepting any recommendations. She threw a fit when she found out she wasn't allowed in the delivery room. She threw a fit when she found out we wouldn't allow hospital visitors, and she even said, I wouldn't go there to COP. I just want to see the baby. You could just bring the baby down to the lobby for me because I want to see him all.
Yeah, sure. Let's bring the baby out of the doctor-approved environment just so you can just spit all over it.
Yeah.
Great.
She threw a fit when we told her no visitors at our home for a week. She threw a fit when she found out my mom was staying with us after to help us out. She threw a fit every time we said no to her taking the baby out alone to an outing. She threw a fit. We got more. When we asked my sister-in-law to babysit and not her when my husband and I went on a date, all heck broke loose when she found out we were going out of state to visit my family for Christmas instead of spending it with her. And then, of course, the kissing rule.
Of course, the kissy rules.
The classic kiss rule. Shout out to Valentine's Day.
Classic kissing rule.
Oh, God. Now, my husband told her that the constant refusal to respect her boundaries as new parents was proof that all she cared about was maintaining control over her children and grandchildren. Unfortunately for her, he was raised to prioritize family above all else. And now my son and I are his family. Dude, that's kind of a fire flip.
Guy was cooking right there.
Dude, bro was
Cooking up.
So our needs come first. He informed her that we would be reducing our contact so our son won't grow up thinking it's normal for adults to throw temper tantrums or weaponize relationships with family. He recommended that she go to therapy so she can understand her desire for complete control. He also reassured her that he loves her very much, but is not willing to let his wife and son suffer just so she can feel good about herself.
Are we in Master Chef right now? Because Opie's husband continues to cook.
I mean, they're both cooking, but husband just delivered a filet mignon of words.
The parents in this story are getting down like it's Iron Chef.
He would shut it down by telling her that if she wanted to have any sort of relationship with her grandson, then she would need to be quiet and listen for once in her life. He told her that if she could prove herself to respect our decisions as parents, then we would happily spend more time with her. As soon as he returned from lunch, he broke down crying. He has never really stood up for himself in a meaningful way to his parents ever. I know this was a heavy conversation for him, but I am so proud of him for putting his foot down. We're proud of you too. I talked with my sister-in-law about the whole situation. She's married to dear husband's brother. She said that mother-in-law did the same exact type of thing when she had her 2 babies and warned me about it when we announced our pregnancy.
Oh.
This is
Baby fever.
repeat offender. Dear husband knew this behavior was going to happen, and we knew all along with our couples counselor, and we talked about how to navigate it. And if you want to talking about navigating your life, there's literally no better place to do that than by going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite pod app, and searching OK Storytime, because why, Dakota?
Because there you will find full episodes with stories just like this.
We've heard from brother-in-law and sister-in-law that she called them to complain and play the victim, but brother-in-law shut her down, saying that she did the exact same thing when sister-in-law was pregnant, and we were absolutely right, coming to her defense. For now, I guess dear husband and I are just moving on. If she wants to reach out and apologize, then great. But we are not putting any effort into a relationship with her. Dear husband feels confident that we made the right decision. For me, seeing him stand up for us and put our needs first was so attractive that it has me heavily considering making baby number 2.
Bow chicka bow down 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 bow chicka down 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 bow bow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the end of the story.
My mother forbid me from picking a venue for my own wedding.
Just pick a volcano. I don't know. Pick something better.
Toss her in.
Yeah, toss her in there. She'll go there.
My fiance, 22 male, proposed to me in May this year. It was gorgeous. We plan to get married next year sometime around September, October. We both have always wanted a fall wedding, so we are very excited. My mother, however, does not seem to be. By the way, this comes from Kaz1967 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So I never imagined my mother would do this. I've seen so many videos and I've always been like, thank God my fiance's mother is sane, until recently when I realized that my fiance is the one with the crazy mother-in-law. Now, my mom isn't crazy, but she's not making wedding planning super easy. I've been looking for a venue since June of this year. We have found so many stunning locations and have toured many of them. Unfortunately, due to the economy, we have had to turn many of these locations down due to prices. This leaves us with very slim options. Now, for some background, I've always wanted to be married outside. My fiance's family lives 8+ hours away and have a gorgeous estate where I originally wanted to have the wedding. Sadly, due to some of the elderly in my family, the drive meant that not many people would be able to make it. Because of this, I have opted to have the wedding closer to my house. My fiance was okay with this and said that his family would come no matter what, He's the oldest of the grandchildren. So they are very, very excited to watch him get married. So we found a range of venues, 5 of them to be exact, that fit into our budget, or slightly broke it by under $3,000, and began the decision making. My mother, being the mother of the bride, wanted to help me make the decision. I love my mom, so I said yes. I gave her all of the details and even let her join me on one of the tours. What a mistake that was. Uh-oh. My mom has done nothing but reject every single venue I proposed. Now, I may be crazy in saying this, and tell me if I am, but does a 3-hour drive really seem long for a wedding? I've driven 6 hours for a wedding.
I've driven like 7 hours for a wedding.
Yeah.
But I stay for a weekend, but
I think we stayed overnight, and that was it.
yeah, that people
And
do
also, we went this was in Tahoe, and it was when Tahoe was on fire.
Oh,
so
what?
anyone who's complaining about going to your wedding is
The wedding,
doesn't care about you.
The wedding for you was literally fire.
Yeah, it was. No, literally, we were like, we might have had to be evacuated because there was so much smoke.
You're like, nothing will prevail this wedding.
I don't want to make this super long, but here is the list of each wedding venue I had picked out in order, and the response that my mother gave me when I told her I wanted to pick it. I know that I don't state how long the drive is for my fiance's family, but they all told me at a get-together this weekend that they will come no matter where it's at, even if it's a destination wedding. So I didn't include their distances. However, about 60% of them will have to fly in from Texas, Vermont, Georgia, and Florida. Gorgeous venue, ceremony outside, reception in an old barn. Most expensive venue I found, but only a 30-minute drive for my family. My mother's response, well, it's a bit expensive, don't you think? Plus the barn will be too cold for the elderly folks. It's a nice drive though. Check for other venues first. Understandable response.
That's a reasonable response.
Yeah,
that wasn't
so,
anything out of pocket.
Just like, it's expensive. Grungy location. Ceremony in a bar with cement floors and reception in same location. My mother picked this one out and rejected it immediately because it's too far away. It's an 1.5 hour long drive for my family. Stunning lake house with gorgeous views and on-site management for the whole wedding. Ceremony outside, reception inside. The whole inside is heated. Falls within the budget and is way cheaper than option 1. Plus, we get a discount for having a fall wedding. It's a 2-hour drive for my family. My mother's response, are you serious? Where will your family stay? You expect them to drive that far? No one will come. You better expect your guest list to fall short. It's basically a destination wedding. Girl, what? What?
This sounds perfect. This sounds like the perfect location.
2 hours is not that far to drive for a wedding.
No,
I would even do that in I would do that and then come back.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even stay the night if I was driving that much.
No, I mean, maybe if you have a long night, maybe go to the hotel. There's probably a hotel nearby.
So people stay in hotels and Airbnbs all the time for weddings.
It's not hard. This
hard.
This is not hard at all. And this is not in like some rural part of town. It just seems very simple and easy.
A golf course venue. Stunning rivers and lots of trees. Ceremony outside, reception outside, low cost, covered tent rental, and venue rental. An 1.5 hour long drive for my family. My mother's response, that's still a really far drive. You're not going to have anyone show up. Plus, there's no hotels nearby. There were a few hotels nearby, but this was more of a VRBO Airbnb location, which I explained to her. The last option I found this venue literally 2 days ago. It's stunning. It's a country club, outside ceremony by the lake, fall-colored trees in the background, outside reception with open bar and stone footing, no dance floor needed, insanely cheap cost, literally 1/10 of our budget. Catering company down the street offers food for weddings on the site, also about 1/10 of the budget. Speakers included on site for music, multiple stunning hotels nearby. My fiance's uncle is a member of this club and can get a discount. And my fiance's father said that if we decided yes on this location, that he'd buy the liquor for the party. We also found a cake company nearby that's very cheap and the cake is so delicious. So basically, we get all of that for 2/10 of the entire budget, leaving all of the extra money for decor, photography, DJ, the dresses and tuxes, and the honeymoon. It's a 3-hour drive for my family.
Oh, I bet mom's gonna love this
I think
one.
she's gonna love it. I think she's gonna be like, wow, my children, I want them to be happy.
3 hours. That's nothing.
That's nothing for family.
Nothing for the perfect wedding for my daughter and my son-in-law.
But actually, she says, my mother's response, it's that far? Are you serious? You thought your guest list would be short before. You really need to think about this before making this decision. That's not a good idea. Where will your family stay? What happens if someone's vegetarian? Our food options here are chicken and pulled pork. What happens if your vendors don't want to drive that far? So at this point, I'm about to say, screw you, and just pick venue number 5 and call it good. I love it so much. It's stunning and everything that I wanted. The only issue is that my mother is fronting a good portion of our budget, and I was scared that by making her upset that she will pull the money.
Oh, this makes a lot more sense now.
That I was like, why do we care what she thinks? But she's paying for it. However, it's 1/10 of your budget. So like
maybe you could pay for it.
Maybe you could pay for it. We had to pull out of venue number 1 because they ran out of dates for 2025 3 days ago.
Oof.
So now we are left with only 4 locations. I really don't want to lose option 5 because I love it. So I think I'm going to take it regardless. Plus, I could pay for the whole wedding myself. There we go.
Easy.
My fiance and I mean, if I really needed to at that point. And what I really need you guys to do is join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
Easy.
Just tap our profile.
4 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did it.
It might even work on the first tap. There is a little bit left to the story. Any thoughts?
At the end of the day, I always say this about weddings. It's your wedding. It's your choice.
Yeah.
As long as you can pay it off, do whatever you want.
I mean, yeah, it seems
easy.
like, because at first it was like, oh, your mom has got to be paying for it and you could afford it or something. But it seems like you said you could afford it. It's 1/10 of your budget, which means that you're going to be saving a lot anyway.
You're getting the liquor for free.
Yeah. You're getting like cheap cake. You're getting...
Everything's right there.
Yeah.
It sounds like you literally listed everything. You're like glittering in the eye. You're like, this is perfect.
This is what you want.
It's just
Don't
the
let your mom get in the
distance.
way.
Don't let the distance. Hey, you know what? You can go the distance.
Go the distance. And 3 hours is not that far. I just never thought I'd have this issue, and I figured I'd share. When my fiance's family found out what was causing the delay in choosing a venue, they were appalled. How embarrassing to be like, sorry, it's my mom.
It's 3 hours.
It's my mommy. She says we can't do it. I even explained to my mother that if our family couldn't drive 3 hours to see my wedding, whereas my fiance's family can fly in from all around the country, then maybe they didn't need to be at the wedding at all.
Mic drop.
Which is a freaking great point, because I was like, does everybody they know live 3 hours away from the wedding? Presumably not. Presumably these people farther, as we know, there are.
People are flying from out of the state.
Yeah, and these people can't drive
and mom doesn't care.
Hours.
I guarantee you mom's like, I don't care. That's not my family.
Yeah. My mom wasn't happy about that comment, but at least she's still communicating with me no matter how chaotic it's been. At least I know that all of my fiance's family will be there. They have been so welcoming so far. Anyway, I hope you got quite a bit of joy out of my misery. I'm going to hopefully pick a venue this week. So wish me luck.
Good luck.
Pick the one you want.
Pick the one you want.
Pick the one you want.
It's your wedding, your choice.
It's
Do
your
it.
wedding.
Do it.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Heck, invite me and I'll fly out.
I'll fly out to your wedding.
Sounds beautiful.
I'll
Sounds
DJ
fun.
for your wedding.
I'll dance on the floor.
I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
I don't know how to DJ though, so.
Then no, don't do that.
Yeah, that is the end of this story.
My family pulled a prank on me on Christmas despite my wishes, so I took back my gifts.
You're all getting cold.
Yes, you're getting
Naughty
cold
children.
and a stern talking to.
And a Claire.
Okay, in the past couple of years, I started making good enough that I bought a house, and I still have plenty after the monthly bills. My family have all been pranksters, and at times entitled, my entire life. But Christmas Eve, they took the cake. I was no contact with them for years, but they convinced me to reconnect after I moved closer. They got you with the swisheroo.
They got you.
And by the way, this comes from user NoCustard1940 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So for gifts, I got them all good stuff like tablets for the kids with built-in DVD players, sports memorabilia and camping stuff for my dad, brother, and uncle, specific antiques, jewelry, and appliances for my mom, sister-in-law, and aunt. I brought my girlfriend with me, as what little family she has is horrid. She was delighted to spend Christmas Eve with my family. Everything was going smoothly, and I warned my family no pranks on me or my girlfriend at all. They swore none would happen, but they couldn't resist. We got attacked by silly string from multiple fronts. That stuff reeks, and it gets everywhere. Somehow we powered through that. But then came the gifts. I wasn't expecting much, but none of them even tried. I got dollar store cooking utensils, a pair of insanely ugly holiday socks that I confirmed were also from the dollar store, and a pink hat. And that was just from my parents. They all kept stickering and recording me as I unwrapped random junk. One being a used mirror to a car I no longer own. And the one gift there to my girlfriend was a bottle of fart spray, which low-key is hilarious, but we'll move on from that. I told them I'd had enough, and they'd agreed to no pranks. Long story short, they weren't just gag gifts. They were the only presents there for us. I had enough and just started gathering up all the presents I'd bought. They all freaked out and demanded I give them back. I told them all that they didn't change one bit and they could kiss all that stuff goodbye. We bagged everything and stormed out. The family keeps calling and messaging me that I'm being greedy. I can't take a joke. They can't think of anything to get me. The kids are crying. I don't need to go on. Am I the a-hole? I've refused to return any of the presents. I know we said no pranks, but we gave you fake gifts, and now here's your real gifts.
Yeah, but to get you trash and then to be like, I pranked ya.
After what they did at Christmas, humiliation forced family to give me a massive apology. My girlfriend recently saw my original post read on YouTube and asked that I update it here. I previously posted in another subreddit about what my family did to me on Christmas Eve. Back at work, word of what happened with my family spread around the office when it shouldn't have. I talked about it just to one friend at lunch a few days after making my first Reddit post, and the office gossip just happened to be hiding nearby, listening to every word I said. Within days, it was all over the office, and someone in the office was apparently social media friends with my brother. In short, my family found out about my Reddit post, and they went off about how they thought I was a brat who couldn't take a joke. I told them the 400, not the a-hole comments, said otherwise. Then they tried to say I didn't tell the truth. I asked them to read the post over the phone and tell me what was the lie. Well, their recollection was suddenly quite bad because I made it clear every detail was on point. I even still have the messages from them confirming numerous details. They tried gaslighting, but I was not having it. I was never going to let them try to rewrite history again. My mother resorted to crocodile tears and guilting, but I called her and my father out as self-serving narcissists who play favorites and would rather make me the bad guy so they wouldn't have to feel bad about themselves. They didn't deserve to berate me or cry for sympathy when they were complicit in my misery since childhood. Then I hung up on them. They tried calling back again and again, but I refused to pick up and I deleted all of their voicemails, but I kept the text just in case I'd need to go to a lawyer. More people in the extended family were made aware after links to my Reddit account got around. Initially, some sided with my parents and brother, but quickly switched sides when they saw the writing on the wall. My parents then tried to turn my brother into the new scapegoat for the situation since it couldn't be me, and then it turned into a chicken fight. After about 2 weeks, my parents showed up at my door to try to get me to talk to them, but I refused. I found out later that other relatives called them 50-plus-year-old children, and they owed me a lifetime of apologies. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
The vindication
thank
from
you.
the rest of the family.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the rest of the family must have been getting the fart spray prank gifts too, and they're like, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, like, we're so sick.
I've been getting those fake poops on my car for years. I'm done.
Fake poops and fart spray only works the first 20 times. But after that,
I've been sitting on whoopee cushions every day of my life.
my brother apparently doubled down that what they did was funny and refused to admit any wrongdoing, but his wife and even his own kids were furious at him. He was made to delete the videos he recorded of me at Christmas by the rest of the family, and he blamed me for it because I ruined his best prank yet. My sister-in-law ended up smacking him and calling him a man-child and then saying she'd never been so humiliated to be his wife. She was apparently unaware of what my family put me through growing up until the Christmas prank, because I'd hardly seen her before cutting contact with my family. Then she gave him an ultimatum: marriage counseling and a sincere apology to me, or she would leave him.
Whoa.
Whoa. My brother stubbornly refused, and his wife took the kids and left for a few days. Oh my God. He then came to my house while intoxicated and yelling that it was all my fault and I was a baby who couldn't take a joke. Then he started demanding I talk to his wife and fix things.
Oh my God. Who is
Can
this
you
man?
imagine blowing up your
And
entire
then blaming
life
someone
over
else?
a bad prank?
And also, you're given the chance to be like, hey, go apologize. Everything's fine.
Yeah, just
Counseling.
apologize and let's do some counseling. And he's like,
no.
you guys just aren't seeing
He's like,
the
you don't
vision.
understand art.
If you're not going to support me on my journey to the MLP, you can ML leave, dude. Okay? Don't let
If
the
you
door
can't
hit you.
support me at my
Oh.
best prank, you can't be there for me at my really, really good pranks.
Oh my God, wait, but she's taking the kids that she got in the Tahoe and she left. I didn't think she was going to do that.
I thought that was a prank.
Oh, dude, I thought maybe she's meant. Oh, you know what? Yeah, she's pranking me.
She's pranking me.
Yeah.
She's pranking me.
Okay. I had to call our parents to come get him before I had police take him away. They showed up mortified and screaming at him to shut up. After a few more days, my parents begged me to come over and speak to them. It took me a while to agree, and when I did, my brother was there with them looking like a kicked puppy. His wife had actually gone to get a consultation from a divorce lawyer, and my brother finally realized that this was not a prank, bro. And unless he acknowledged he was a massive a-hole, his life would be ruined. His wife did come back for the sake of keeping the kids in school, but even after months, my brother is still in the doghouse. My brother and parents apologized and admitted they never expected me to show up with such nice gifts and figured I wasn't likely to bring anything since I hadn't seen them in years. And they'd pranked me so much that it finally clicked with them why I'd previously gone no contact. I just like think in my head, I see like the montage of like times
Yeah,
that
they're like,
he got hit in the face with
"Whoa."
the shaving cream and had the water dumped on him, and it's like, you know, the warm water on the hand while he's asleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Whoa, that was bad parenting.
but da-da-da-da. And even though I showed up with real gifts, they had gone ahead with their plan anyways, since the prank gifts were already under the tree, and they somehow thought I'd share in the humor. They thought wrong. I told them they would never be apologizing like this if they weren't being humiliated for their actions, to which they actually agreed and started trashing themselves. Then I asked if the apologies they'd given me before were totally insincere and just a ploy to lure me back into the family. They couldn't say they were or weren't, and I'm not even sure they know anymore. So then I had a very frank discussion with them about my childhood and why I might never want to associate with them ever again. They didn't argue with a single point I made. All the mistreatment, all the favoritism, all the scapegoating. Why? Because I was the unwanted child. I didn't ask to be born, and it sure as heck couldn't have taken that long just for them to realize what kind of steaming piles of crap they were as people. They just sat there looking at the floor while I ranted at them, and my mother was crying and blaming herself and my father started blaming her and saying it all started with her. That's a bad look, Pops. What are you doing?
The
Well, that
blame
one over there,
game.
she wrote me into this.
It wasn't me.
Well,
I
he
swear.
over there, that one over there, he wrote me into this.
It was our son, your brother. It's his fault.
Really, it was way back to the first Cro-Magnon man that we're related to.
It was
Ooh.
your great grandfather.
It was my brother, for once in his life, knew when to shut up and accept fault, and when he finally did speak, he owned up to everything. Since it was too late to return the gifts to the store by the time I'd made my post, the presents I took back were left in my garage, just sitting in a pile. I ended up donating all of them to a local church for a charity rummage sale, so all of that stuff went to people other than my relatives. I was chastised by many for taking the gifts back from the kids too, but they were sharing in the delight of laughing at me that day. And now they have a lesson in consequence that it was good to have while still young. That said, my mother kind of negated that by going rogue and bought the exact same tablet DVD combo players for the kids that I did. My father was apparently furious with her at first because she put it all on their credit card. Each of those tablets was around $150, but the fight about it didn't last long. My brother and sister-in-law have been going to marriage counseling, and it's forced my brother to open his eyes. Our parents raised him to be the way he is, but he also kept it up well into adulthood. I've kept moderate contact with my family for the sake of getting to know my little nephew siblings, and they're actually good kids. They don't blame me for taking the gifts back anymore because they understand how angry I was at Christmas.
At least the kids get it.
Yeah, like, hey, at least the kids
Yeah, they've probably been pranked, and they're like, dude, we got it.
we're not the only ones dealing with this.
Yeah, they're like, ooh.
Kids are like smoking out back like they're like a
They're
guy
like,
working in the kitchen on their lunch break.
boy.
Oh God,
I know.
I know there's another prank coming today.
I can't do it. I got a full-time job.
I had my birthday in March at a local pizza parlor, and my family were invited. It was literally their last chance, and shockingly, they did not blow it.
Whoa.
Whoa, that is a shocker. They couldn't figure out what to get me, so they gifted me a large card with $100 cash in it and a will do better apology written in the card. They also gave my girlfriend a set of sterling silver earrings, big apology as a makeup for Christmas since she she'd refused to see them in person until then. It hasn't really been long enough since then for me to have any other kinds of details other than things seem to be pleasantly normal now. No more pranks. They've even stopped doing them to each other. The whole situation just ruined what made it funny for them to begin with. And by the way, if you want to begin listening to full episodes with stories just like this, then just go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Just do it.
There you will find us. And
it's funny.
We find ourselves near the end of this story now. Also, for all those who prior commented or DM'd me saying the tablet DVD player combos don't exist, look them up. They do exist. And kids who have them love them. The ones my mother got, my nibblings, have barely left their hands since getting them. Lastly, I did report the office gossip that caused me to get ratted out to my brother to HR. And that was just one thing in a line of complaints against them. So they were finally written up and has been avoiding me as much as possible at work since then. And that is the end of that story.
I'm glad that it somewhat seemingly all worked out.
Yes, it
No
did.
more pranks, hopefully. My mother-in-law hid my husband's affair because she knows I'm going to evict them.
There's a lot of moving pieces to that. I can neither confirm nor deny the validity of these options yet.
2 months ago, I found out my husband had been cheating on me since we got married, which was almost a year ago. I have suspicions that it probably went much farther back than that, but I don't know how long it's been going on in total, and I personally don't want to know more details than I have to. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, ever since I found out, I have been set on pursuing divorce, and I keep communication with him at a minimum. We don't have kids. Evicting my husband out of the house was a given. It was relatively easy to do because the house is in my name. I inherited it from my mother. The dilemma involves his mother, my mother-in-law. She lives in our guest room, and my husband has taken the role of her caretaker since he only works part-time. She's not in a facility because she doesn't need constant supervision. She just needs help with bathing and being taken to her physical therapy sessions. Before anyone asks, yes, I did my part in caring for her too. He was her main caretaker because I worked full-time and he didn't. I cooked, cleaned, and did her laundry. I also drove her to her appointments when my husband couldn't. Only thing I wasn't comfortable with was the bathing. Despite not wanting my husband to be in the home, I let her stay. I did let him know that once the divorce was finalized, she would have to find somewhere else to live, whether that be with him, his siblings, or with other family. I felt bad about it, but I decided that I needed a clean break from him and by extension, his family, once we were done. I was not willing to permanently house my mother-in-law in my home if it meant that I had to continue interacting with him. I suggested that he planned arrangements ahead of time so that we weren't scrambling to find housing. He seems fine with that. At first, I was okay with my husband only returning home to take care of his mother as long as he didn't interact with me. I would usually be out of the home during the time he'd come over anyways. He broke that rule once he started begging and pleading me for reconciliation. I absolutely refused. He then asked if he could at least live in my house until the divorce was finalized, which I also refused. At that point, I was scared that he would try to forcefully move back in, so I had the locks changed and didn't give him a new key. I made sure that I was there to receive him at the door whenever he came to care for his mother. So his mom is still living with OP, but he can't come. I later found out he was desperate for housing because none of his friends had the space for him. They all lived in apartments with multiple roommates. His siblings were not willing to house him or help him find housing after they found out he cheated on me. The reason I'm asking is if I'm the a-hole because I now want to expedite moving my mother-in-law out. She told me that she discovered that my husband was cheating on me over a year ago, which was also when we were still engaged. We were living in my house back then, and my idiot of a husband, then fiance, was caught because he brought one of his side pieces to our home. He thought my mother-in-law was fast asleep, but she wasn't. She later confronted him and threatened him to come clean to me or she would. My husband reassured her that he would tell me, but obviously never did. My mother-in-law kept quiet about it all this time because she believed I forgave him.
Bingo, here we go. I was about to say there's only one situation where this is okay, and it's that exact situation. Well, she brought it up. He's like, I will tell her, and then he never tells her, but then she just assumes, oh, I guess they worked it out.
I feel like you got to do a follow-up there, though.
But like, It's such a, like, remember that thing you probably never want to think about ever again that you talked through and got over, I guess? How's that going?
She thought that since the wedding went as planned and without delay, that I didn't have any lingering issues from his infidelity. My mother-in-law was also under the impression that he stopped his affairs, but that was only because my husband got smarter, quote unquote, and never brought anyone to the home again. Quote unquote smarter, because that was already a pretty stupid move. After hearing all that, I no longer felt comfortable having her in my house. I wanted her to move out ASAP. She apologized, but I just didn't want to hear it. Of course, I'm angriest with my husband for what he did, but I also feel betrayed by her. At any point, she could have let me know about what he did. Maybe she could have even asked me during the wedding preparations if I was really okay with forgiving his cheating. Then at least I would have found out before we got married. She just assumed that I knew and was totally fine with it. I know there are people who forgive their spouses for cheating, but I don't think that they act completely normal and happy, which is how I was. That's because I was in the dark about everything. I also feel like she should have been suspicious that we didn't cancel or postpone our wedding date, given that she discovered the cheating only a few months before it. I feel like either she's like kind of dumb or she didn't like fully believe that he said anything, but she didn't want to dig deeper.
It's like she was kind of playing the mind your business card, and also the I don't want to take a side that's not my son's, and then also I probably want to believe that my son's not a bad guy. There's a lot of interesting psychology going on in this decision to be quiet. I, for one, I'll give her the pass on that.
But I don't think OP owes her living in her house.
Does not owe her that. I just mean, like, I don't think that she was withholding it in a nefarious nature.
I feel like most people would want to at least postpone the wedding to attend counseling, even if they forgave their spouse for cheating. I feel bad for her situation because she's an elderly woman, but as far as we know, she doesn't have any cognitive or mental health issues. Maybe you could say that my husband manipulated her, but I feel like there's no reason to be that trusting and obvious. My mother-in-law is not a stupid woman. I keep coming back to the idea that she just decided to side with her son instead of doing the right thing. The pessimistic side of me believes that my mother-in-law kept quiet because she wanted to remain living in my house. She knew that if I found out he was cheating, this exact situation would happen. I would let her stay for a while, but she'd have to move out after the divorce was finalized. That's the only reason that makes sense to me. And if I'm right, it's made me question if my mother-in-law ever liked me. I used to believe that the reason why my mother-in-law stayed with us and not my husband's siblings was because they lived hundreds of miles away, and maybe that's still true. But this has made me wonder if they're keeping their distance on purpose. Probably. They probably don't like her. They're probably like, I don't want to put up with this woman, even though she's my mother. So we're just going to make sure someone else has to take care of her.
It's if she was being like, I don't want to be homeless.
I probably should have expected this, but in all that time, my husband didn't do anything to find future housing for his mother. I had to be the one to figure out where my mother-in-law was going to stay. I ended up coordinating with his siblings, and both of them were going to take a trip down to our state to help her move. My mother-in-law was going to be living with my husband's sister, but only temporarily. They had plans to have my mother-in-law permanently stay with their extended family. Ever since I made that call, I have received a lot of backlash from my husband, some of his friends, and her extended family. Some of them even made posts on Facebook criticizing me for throwing out an elderly woman to the streets. And now a lot of people I don't know are sending me nasty messages. But you guys can send a message to us. If you listen to full episodes with stories just like this, just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And that sends a great message. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
It's crazily unfair to be like, you're throwing an old lady out on the street. It's like, well, it's real easy to say when a situation that's not impacting you. I wonder how many people who are yelling at you about how you're a bad person would do exactly what you're doing right now. How many old ladies are you taking care of? How many old ladies' children are actively cheating on you?
But there is a little bit left to the story. Someone even tried to call into my work and get me fired. They're like, she's not taking care of the old lady. I suspect either my husband or my mother-in-law gave this person my work contact information since I don't have any social media presence that displays where I work. No one ever mentioned my husband's infidelity and my mother-in-law's willful silence about it, so I don't know if they even have the full context. Only my husband's siblings seem to side with me. And comments to keep the story going. Comment 1 says, I agree with you. She needs to start saving all proof of their harassment and let them know that if they don't back off, she'll press charges. She really needs to stop letting these leeches treat her like a doormat. Opie needs a lawyer ASAP to start divorce proceedings. While married, she's on the hook for his debts. and he might even take some in her name without her knowing. Dude was clearly using her money to spoil his side pieces. OP served that woman an eviction notice ASAP. Don't let them guilt trip you. Ever thought about how your husband only married you to get a free caretaker for his mom? That's why she never told you about his affairs. They don't want to lose their maid, ATM, and nurse. You've been used while he lived like a single man. Stop buying stuff for mother-in-law and taking care of her. That'll speed up getting her out of your house. Also, get tested for STD. And OP says, yes, I have retained a lawyer. I thankfully have a lawyer friend who was able to recommend several divorce lawyers they knew. I would say that he was more of a caretaker for her than I was. I mainly helped out during the weekends when I didn't have work. I know that I said I cooked and cleaned. Technically, I cooked and cleaned for everyone in the home. It wasn't like I made her specialized meals or anything. I was okay with him only working part-time because I made enough to support both of us. And I respected that he wanted to take care of his mother. I probably would have been okay with that arrangement for the rest of our lives if it hadn't been for, the cheating. I would have to get a professional to analyze our bank records, but as far as I've seen, my husband was not using my share of the income on these women. At least not enough for me to notice. We have a joint account, and he was careful enough to only use amounts of money that reflected his salary. For instance, if he took home $3,000, he made sure to never spend more than $3,000 until his next paycheck.
That's being careful. Not blowing your entire paycheck on other women is being careful. Maybe I'm just not financially literate enough to understand that.
I'm not quite understanding your goal there, buddy. I also pay the majority of the bills, and he was responsible for the phone bill and other small expenses. I didn't really care what he spent his money on as long as he paid off his share of the expenses first. I wasn't totally oblivious, though. I always monitored our statements, not because I was looking out for infidelity, just because I wanted to make sure we stayed within budget. I know that he met some of these women in hotels, but I assume he used cash because no hotels ever showed up in the statements. I wasn't suspicious that he withdrew cash to begin with. I've always known that my husband preferred to pay with cash in general. I did notice some statements for fast food and bars, but I believed him when he said those were for lunch breaks and when he went out with friends after work. Knowing the truth now, it makes me laugh to imagine that he was treating his side pieces to a romantic dinner at McDonald's and these other fast food places. Just so much romance emanating from this cheater.
The love is in this McDouble, and we're going to split it. That's why they call it a McDouble, is because it's a double portion.
I have also been tested for STDs, and it's a miracle that I didn't catch anything. I have thought about getting tested a second time just to make sure. And that is the end of that story. Moral of the story is kick your mother-in-law out.
Moral of the story, once your husband's cheating on you, you're not responsible for taking care of his mom.
Those are just the rules, man.
I don't think the mom was doing anything nefarious, but I think that there's also a code once you get to that age, you really have learned through experience that you just mind your business. And then bringing it up again, if you do think that they've worked through it and are moving on, you're just dredging up the thing that shouldn't be dredged. But also, there was a lack of follow through on making sure that any sort of anything was said.
I think that if you're going to confront your son about it, then you gotta follow through on the confrontation.
I accidentally exposed my best friend's secret to my family because he left me stranded.
That seems like an overreaction.
Were you stranded on an island? Were you stranded at a place that you could get transportation? Were you stranded in space? Let's find out. So, my best friend, let's call him John, 23 years old, and I, female, 22 years old, have been friends for 8 years. He has been around my family and has joined in a lot of my family functions and vice versa. By the way, this comes from user oldengineering5666, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, he came out to me during our sophomore year in college. I knew he was attracted to the same gender, but was waiting for him to come out. John was very secretive about coming out, and only a few people know that he is attracted to the same gender. Once we graduated college, John started talking to this one guy on Tinder, and eventually they started long-distance dating. He ended up telling his family once things were official. By the way, this was John's first time dating anyone.
Oh, wow.
Ever. Wow. Well, that's going to be a bit of an adjustment, I bet. Me, John, and another close friend, Megan, 23 years old, female, had planned to go to a music festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. Since Megan's brother and his friends were also going, we had decided to jump in with their group to enjoy Vegas and the music festival together. We did not know that John had also invited his boyfriend to this trip. I guess John wanted me and Megan to get to know his boyfriend better. I was struggling to decide which flight to return from Vegas because I was kind of tight on money. I consulted with John to see what I should do since Megan and her brother had rented a car in Vegas. I wasn't sure if I should return at an earlier flight around 2 p.m. like Megan, since I would be carpooling with Megan and her brother throughout the trip and check out at 11 a.m. for the hotel. The earlier flight was a bit more expensive than the later return flight, so John suggested he and his boyfriend could take me to the airport, and I could hang out with them after checking out from the hotel. John was flying to meet with his boyfriend in California and then drive them both to Vegas. I told John I don't want to inconvenience them and wouldn't mind booking the earlier flight, but John said it was fine if they took me to the airport, so I decided to book a later return flight at 7 p.m. John mentioned it would be a good time for me to get to know his boyfriend. We arrived in Vegas and found out John and his boyfriend had booked a different hotel from us.
Wonder why.
John didn't want Megan's brother and his friends to know that he is not straight. John told the brother and friends that he was just bringing a friend. It was fine since the hotel they booked was close to ours. We also found out that John and his boyfriend had bought shuttle bus passes to the music festival without our knowledge. We had planned to carpool together to the festival. Megan's brother even paid extra to change the car at the rental place to seat 8 passengers since John and his friend, really his boyfriend, were supposedly joining us. We all arrived one day earlier from the festival day, and we had a whole day planned with events. We asked John if they were going to join in on our day, which John told us to include him and his friend with. So we did. In the end, John and his boyfriend ended up backing out from all the events we were doing because they were too tired. During the 3-day music festival, we did not see John and his boyfriend at all. It was disappointing since we had planned this trip to go to the music festival together. I messaged John if we can at least meet up during the afternoon to have lunch together or something, but he did not respond. I thought he was just too tired from coming back from the festival, so I let it slide. No, girl, he's not. On the last day of the festival, I messaged John to see if he was still okay with taking me to the airport and if we were going to hang out. I messaged him while we were getting ready to go to the music festival, and keep in mind, this festival starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. the next day. I got no response. I started to panic because I haven't seen him throughout this trip and because I don't feel comfortable being alone in Vegas. I kept messaging him and calling him, but no response. We headed to the festival and I decided to just enjoy the music to calm down. I ended up messaging him at around 2 in the morning the next day, the day I'm going to fly out back home, to once again ask him if he was still going to take me to the airport. I still got no response. So I decided I would go with Megan and her brothers to the airport and wait at the airport since I would not have any transportation. I was not going to drag my luggage around with me in Vegas.
Yeah, don't do that.
And OP, you've done everything right. I would have probably actually been like, I'm going with you guys way earlier. As soon if I didn't get a response that same day or the day before, I'm like, all right, John's AWOL, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep that in mind, and I'll go to the airport early.
When people are in their first relationship, they usually isolate themselves with their partner. I mean, not like in a bad way. They're just like, I want to hang out with this person.
Yeah, you're with
doing
your
their own
first
thing.
partner in Vegas.
John doesn't know how
At a
to
music
explain
festival.
that. He doesn't know how to communicate that because it's new to him.
Yeah.
So you can't. Don't be upset at John though.
I ended up getting a message from John while I was packing my stuff to head to the airport. He told me that he was in too much of an altered state from the substances he had consumed and did not message me back because of that. He then said he was not able to take me to the airport since they needed to rest coming back from the music festival. Okay, so at this point, I'm like, hey, I get it. That was so whack of you, John. I get it. I understand. Doesn't excuse how crappy that was as a friend who you told me, you're like, oh yeah, do this because I got you. And now you don't got me. That's a bad move. So keep in mind, I was receiving this message at 6 a.m. And my flight was not until 7 p.m., which for all my little math nerds out there, that's 13 hours of resting time that John could have. I was irritated and disappointed because if I had known this was going to happen, I would have flown out on an earlier flight. I ended up waiting 10 hours alone at the airport with no sleep at all before flying back home since my flight got delayed. John never once messaged me to check on how I was doing after his much-needed rest. Feel like if I was OP, I'd be more butthurt than John is right now.
That is hilarious. Thank you.
I ended up messaging my sisters to let them know about my whereabouts since one of my sisters was planning to pick me up when I had landed at home. I was upset, sad, and hurt about John, and I ended up telling all my sisters about what happened to me during my trip to Vegas. I had told them that John pretty much left us for his boyfriend, putting Mr. before sisters. I was trying so hard to hold back my tears because I didn't think John would treat me this way for some guy. My family suspected that John was attracted to the same gender, so it was not a surprise to my family. Long story short, we all came back from our Vegas trip. Me, Megan, and John ended up having a discussion about what had happened. Megan told John that what he did to me was crappy, and we all did not expect him to do something like that. Megan's brother even told John that John should have at least checked in on me. Megan told John that he needed to apologize, and I expressed privately to John how I felt and told him that John had hurt me and that he could have at least responded back to me. I told John that I told my sisters what happened on the trip, and he panicked and asked if they knew about his boyfriend. I told him of course they know, since my family is not stupid enough to believe that John would treat me the way he did for another person who's just a friend. After we both talked about what happened on the trip, I forgave him, and we moved on with our lives. I received a text message from John a week later. John ended up texting me that it was effed up of me, and he was hurt that I told my family he was attracted to the same gender because it was not my place to come out for him.
It's sort of like one of those things where people come to their own conclusion and they're like, they piece it together.
From the sounds of it, you weren't really fooling these people at all to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, this is like your second family. It's like you've been so close to this family. OP's been so close to John's family. John's family basically said like, yeah, we already knew, like when he came out to them. I'm sure OP's family's literally the same way. Like
Exactly.
So he told me that I had taken a piece of his identity away from him. He didn't appreciate me telling my family he was attracted to the same gender, and now they will look at him differently. No, they won't, dude. They'll look at you the same way because they already knew. John said he wanted to tell people he's attracted to the same gender when he is ready to. And by the way, you better be ready to listen to full episodes with stories like this on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just search the name of this show.
Yep.
Okay, story time.
Yep.
And you will have the oyster's pearl in your hand. Okay, we do have a little bit more story left. So I felt bad, and I thought about it that if it was wrong for me to tell my family, his secret. I cried and called him to explain to him I didn't tell my family that he was attracted to the same gender out of spite or with malicious intent.
Mm-hmm.
I apologized, but John told me he doesn't know if he could forgive me. After hearing that, it made me wonder if he wanted to turn me into a bad friend for telling my family because he realized he was being a bad friend during our trip. So am I the a-hole for telling my family he is attracted to the same gender?
Not if your family came to the conclusion. So no, you didn't really tell him.
If your family is practically his family, like what was described at the beginning of the story, already knew.
Plus you were like, hey, I need to be here for 10 hours. I'm just upset at John because he's hanging out with his friend and they aren't blah, blah, blah. It's not like I'm at the airport for like 10 hours. Also, John's
and I don't like him anymore because his boyfriend was mad and I don't like him. It's like, that's not what it was. It was more just like, dude. And yeah, John dropped the ball super hard. He's trying to take the heat off of him by being like, oh, well, the way you reacted, even though I was wrong, what you did was worse. And it's like, there's no way OP would have said anything if they thought that the reaction would have been negative. My parents replaced their estranged son with my husband. I objected.
They're just swapping it. Putting a good old Indiana Jones.
Like what, they're underneath the coconuts? Like,
That one. That's mine.
My parents have 2 kids, me, female 26, and my brother Dan, male 34. Dan had a rough time growing up, and frankly, my parents failed him. As a teenager, he struggled with severe substance use issues and mental illness. and they did almost nothing to help him. By the time he finished college, he had completely cut off my parents, and to this day, Dan and my parents are still estranged. By the way, this comes from user Mom's Replacement Son, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I, on the other hand, still speak to my brother regularly. My parents, especially my mom, take every chance they can to mourn the loss of their son and act as though my brother wronged them by leaving. Dan has told me that he wouldn't mind reconnecting with them, but only if they reach out and apologize first. I've encouraged my parents to do this, but they insist that he betrayed them. I got married early last year to my husband, Jeff. We have a happy marriage, and he is adored by all my friends and family. But I feel like my parents have been crossing some boundaries.
Oh, like what? Like asking your husband to mow the lawn? Like asking your husband to maybe help turn the TV on, get the buttons just right?
Imagine they're like, actually, hey, can you try on all of Dan's clothes and see if they fit, please? We're just looking for someone to wear these, please. Thank you.
And then when you're done, just empty out the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then tell us you love me.
Love you.
To continue, for example, whenever we've gone to visit them, they insist that he sleep in Dan's room, saying that I got him mid-sip. He got mid-sip with that one.
Dude, this is actually spot on. Dakota's got it. This is spot on.
So they insist that he sleeps in Dan's room, saying that their son, my husband, has come home and should sleep in his rightful bedroom.
What? Are we prodigal sonning the wrong person?
What are we doing, dude? You have a son. All you have to do, they're going through all of this just to not apologize to their son.
You know what else?
That is still
You know
there.
what else would be crazy? Is if we had a side-by-side of Jeff and Dan, and they actually look like the same person.
You're like, you merge them together, and it's just like the same photograph.
That would be even weirder.
Before the pandemic, my dad would take Jeff out on sporting events and introduce him as his only son.
Oh my gosh.
Where's Jeff's opinion about any of this? Is Jeff just like...
Jeff doesn't care. Jeff's doing other things.
Jeff's like, sure thing, Paul. My God. Most of the pictures of my brother in my childhood home have been replaced by pictures of my parents with Jeff. This is crazy.
They got pictures of baby Jeff.
This isn't cool.
They got pictures of you whenever you were a kid. They got
Dude.
baby Jeff there.
Yeah, they like Photoshop Jeff as a baby. They were like, oh my God. Like, you need to tell your husband how you feel about this. If you felt weird about this, he needed to know. Like,
Wait, what else are they doing?
So, pictures have been replaced. The other day, my mom called to invite me and Jeff over for the holidays. I told her I wasn't comfortable traveling during the vid spiking, and she was irritated, but she dropped it. Then she called Jeff and begged him to visit without me because apparently it's cruel for a mother to be without her child on Christmas. Jeff politely told her he wasn't going to visit without me. She's been emotionally blackmailing him ever since, sending him pictures of stockings with his, my mom's, and my dad's name on them and saying, but we already promised so-and-so that our son will be in town. Continuing on. Wow, this is absurd.
You can call me your son. We're going to change the will right now. We're going to go get a notary, and we're going to make that change right now.
Like, you can call me your son if you leave me the right split of assets.
At
you know
the
what I'm
crispy
saying?
price of half of your belongings.
Jeez Louise. How much equity is in your home? So this felt ridiculous and unsettling. So I called her up yesterday and explained that she is violating our boundaries. Jeff is not her replacement son, and no matter how much she pretends she doesn't have an actual son, she does. It is her responsibility to make up for the damage she did to that relationship before it's too late. She started crying and called me cruel for mentioning Dan. She said I have no idea what it's like to be a mother and that it's disgusting that I'm trying to deprive her of a son when she already has lost one by keeping Jeff away from her. I'm sorry, this is absurd. My father agrees with my mother. Jeff agrees with me, though he doesn't like to rock the boat and thinks I should apologize anyway. I thought I did the right thing, but now I'm really not sure if I went too far. Am I the a-hole? There's an edit, but really quickly.
Yeah.
No, it is your parents, the adults, the parents. It is their responsibility to repair and mend their relationship with Dan. It's not Dan's responsibility to come back and be like, I was a bad son. It's like,
Yeah, Dan and the parents got to work that out. Jeff, dude, I mean, one, what does Jeff think about this? Is he loving this?
Jeff being passive about this is also really weird to me. Like, if I was Jeff, I wouldn't be like, yeah, babe, you should apologize. I'd be like, hey, it's deeply disturbing to me that you refer to me as your son when you have one, and I know him.
I want to know Jeff's part. Also, if I saw this in a sitcom, I'm just seeing Jeff being treated as a king, and he's like, this ain't too bad. Getting ribs. Imagine you go to your partner's house and you get met with a beer and a plate of ribs every time, or whatever food you want.
But then they go, welcome home, son. And I'd go, I already have parents. I'm sorry.
What's another set? I'm cool with that.
Hey, what's wrong with another
Dude,
set?
all right.
I'm gonna collect them all.
Hey, honestly, if I was Jeff and I was being treated right, I would say anything. I'd be like, all right.
Well, I think the main problem here isn't necessarily how Jeff is being treated, but it's how OP and Jeff as her partner needs to understand that the way that her parents are treating him is like not fair to Dan and also not fair to OP, because it's like denying the existence of her actual brother. So as her partner, you really need to be like, hey, pump the brakes on making me your son. I like you guys. I'm, you have a great thing with your daughter right now. We're whatever. I don't know if you guys love each other or not, but regardless, like, it needs to be the primary consideration, I think.
I don't know. Jeff, if you like this, maybe keep it up.
I don't know. Depends on the perks.
Half of the inheritance and you get treated like king. I think Jeff's living life, dude.
Yeah, okay, so we have an edit. Let's get into it. Thank you all for the support and the advice. I appreciate it so much. I haven't been able to sleep, so I've been reading every comment. I don't know if I have the emotional energy to post again yet, but I'm reading a whole lot of what's posted there and already feel less alone. My tentative plan is to arrange for me and Jeff to get individual therapy and maybe couples therapy later on. We're going no contact with my parents for a while. I'm also planning to invite Dan to stay with us over the holidays. I have a lot to make up for, and I want to spend as much time as I can with him and let him know that he's loved. There's another edit here, also in response to people pointing out the gross Game of Thrones-esque implications behind this. With the way my parents talk about me and my husband, most people who didn't know me growing up assume that I'm their daughter-in-law, and Jeff is their son, until one of us corrects them. Crazy.
Jeff and Dan look alike.
No, do they? Uh-oh.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying they probably look alike. Imagine. They're like, oh, you will do.
I would hope not. Like, if I had a sibling, I wouldn't want to date a copy of them. Comment 1. I read this wearing the Pikachu face.
No, Pikachu's name. I'm going to find it for you.
What? It's Pikachu. But for real, not the a-hole. Your parents sound mentally unbalanced, and this is a seriously unhealthy behavior. It will have a negative impact on your marriage because to them, you got married, and your husband is better than their son. They don't have to be responsible for the emotional upkeep like they did with their teenage son. So they are replacing their son with your husband so they can feel good about their son while still maintaining the role of victim where their real son is concerned. That is convoluted beyond all reason, and you need to make some very firm, very lasting boundaries with them. How are they going to act if you and your husband ever have a baby, especially a boy? When they overstep your parenting boundaries, it will be to talk about that baby as their baby, how they raised him, etc. I'm definitely extrapolating here, but it isn't exactly a reach to think that they will not only continue this behavior, but escalate it. I kind of agree with that.
Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc? Jean-Luc Pikachu?
That's his real name.
Wow, he's French. Is she? Pikachu? Who knows? OP says, thank God. The way my parents were talking to me, I thought I was crazy for finding their behavior disturbing. I think you are so right about potential kids. I know that even now, I'm not really comfortable being around my parents, so there's no way they're seeing me without defined boundaries, much less any children that I may have. Comment 2 says, did I read that right? Stockings for them and your hubby, but not you? Not the a-hole. OP says, yes. Stockings for only the 3 of them. Creep me the heck out. Wait a minute.
Whoa,
I just assumed they had a stocking for
so they're
you.
abandoning you too? What did you do to them?
What is going on?
They're like, we actually only have one child now.
Oh my God. Is it like, God, they must have really messed up with Dan to the point where they're like, we messed up so bad that if we accept responsibility for this, it fundamentally changes the way that we would be able to look at ourselves. And so they're just like, we're never going to do it. And anyone who tries to tell us to, we're also going to not get you a Christmas stocking. Even though you're our daughter. Oh my God. I don't get this. Why would they do that? Are they intentionally trying to hurt your feelings by letting you know they love him more? Is this what they did with your brother? OP says, I wish I could say my parents would never do such a thing to intentionally hurt me, but that would be a lie. Maybe they had 4 stockings, but excluded mine out of spite after I said I wasn't going to visit. Or maybe they're just unhinged. I was so upset I didn't even want to go into it on the phone. I'm 8 years younger than my brother, so when the worst of it was happening between him and my parents, I was too young to fully understand. But I know that they often made him feel excluded when he disagreed with them or quote-unquote embarrassed them. And there is an update.
Uh-oh.
Where are we at? Should we extrapolate a little bit here, Keon, or should we just dive in? Extrapolating. So
So it's wait. So whenever who disagreed with the parents, whenever Jeff would disagree with the parents, they'd get mad.
No, it was Dan, the real brother, the biological brother. And also it sounds like they are kind of getting snippy with her because she's like, what did Dan do to deserve that treatment? And y'all need to apologize.
Yeah, dude, this is a tricky situation.
Y'all have no idea what this man just did to me.
This is a tricky situation.
And
I don't know. I mean, I thought Jeff was having a good one, but it did kind of throw me for a loop whenever they're going no contact. Nicole H says, so she was to fix it baby, but now her spouse is the fix it baby.
Maybe? I don't know. I don't know if I would say it was like a fix-it baby. I just think like clearly the older brother, I mean, he was having substance abuse problems. He was probably acting out. And I think, the root of that isn't necessarily always, square smack dab on the parents, but it's like the escalation of that or like the lack of support or help in that department, like is definitely then on the parents. It's not an easy thing to deal with having a child with like substance abuse issues. Of course, I don't think anyone would say that that's easy. But still, you need to like take the lead as the parents and be like, I'm not going to hold my child's issues against him for the rest of his life.
Agreed. You need to take, just got to be a parent.
I don't know why that comment made me think of would you rather eat a baby goat or a matter baby?
What?
Oh,
yeah, I know. What's the matter, baby? Yeah, nothing. What's wrong with you? Nice. Oh my God, Riley, you're so feisty. Is this because I told you to kiss me?
This guy.
We can still do it right now.
I think your Pookie wants to kiss you. Dakota's Pukey has donated $25. I was trying to think of some knee-buckling, beautiful thing to say. Instead, I've landed on this. Me, batter, you, hot dog, us, corn dog.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, kiss your Pookie.
Oh, my God.
All right, back to the story, please.
Kith.
Back to the story, please.
I posted several weeks ago about a situation in which I felt that my parents were trying to replace my brother Dan with my husband Jeff. That is just a wild sentence. Oh, my God. I was raised in an unhealthy environment, and as such, I was very out of touch with what normal family dynamics and boundaries look like. The support, the resource recommendations, and the respectful criticisms have all been invaluable to me as I've begun to confront what I've avoided for a long time. People have messaged me asking for an update. Well, I'm happy to share good news. My husband and I went no contact with my parents, as many of you suggested. We have also both started going to therapy. We have only had 3 sessions each, but I can definitely say it has been a total relief to process things that I have been bottling up my entire life. Yeah, you could say that again. I already feel like I can understand myself and the cluster F I grew up in significantly better. Kind of annoyed at myself for not trying it sooner, but hey, it's a hard thing to start. Not gonna lie. Jeff has felt the same way with his sessions, from what he's told me. Under professional advisement, we are holding off on couples therapy until we do a few more individual sessions, but we hope to start in the near future. Now on to the main good news. My brother Dan is spending the holidays with us.
Dude, how do your parents feel about that? I bet they're going to be at the dinner table, like, feeling awkward because it's like, we actually already have a son attending.
They're not there. They're not going to be there. No contact. Now, how do the parents feel? I don't know. I don't
You're
care.
right. You're right. Also, good for you, OP.
Yeah, for real. If I had I'm an only child, so I can't really relate. But like, I feel like if I had
So
a
you
brother,
have no say in this. So you should just not. You should
No,
stop
it's-
talking because you don't even know what this is like.
all right, wait. Actually, no. That's a good point. What would you do with all your siblings if like your parents started to like replace them, and they were like, and it was like, yeah, like one of them had like a problem, or it's like, God forbid, whatever they
Yeah, replace.
what would you do to with your parents if
It'd be weird.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it would
Like
have to be.
imagine your parents replaced you with your partner. How would you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that would feel
Like,
bad. I
it'd
guess.
start with the
like,
joke.
like Keon.
It would start with a joke like, we'll just
Yeah.
take you instead of him, haha. And then like those words became actions and they started giving them presents.
I don't know. Maybe
You
it'll-
started
maybe
getting
it'll-
underwear for Christmas and they actually started getting like gift cards.
I would love underwear for Christmas. First
ask
of
me
all,
something?
like imagine like Kiona is being replaced by your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bad. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue. I think the answer here is clear. You go no contact when your parents do
Yep.
something.
Do it for
deranged.
Dan, everyone. Do it for Dan. Remember?
Dan is spending the holidays with us. After taking health precautions, he drove up last week and is staying with us past New Year's. Having Dan around has been incredibly special for me and Jeff. Dan and I have been making up for so much lost time, and I've never seen him smile so much. And it warms my heart. Oh my God, it warms mine too. That's so nice. I did tell him about the situation with our parents and Jeff before he came. It was hard to hear, but Dan has a really strong support system and seems to be processing it in a healthy way. He's now coming up on 7 years sober.
Sobriety.
Congratulations, Dan.
Oh.
I was finally able to apologize to him for not stepping up as a better sister earlier in his life and enabling our parents' abuse. Oh,
Dang.
sweet summer child. That is your kid. That's not
Yeah,
your
it's not
fault.
your
You
cross
can't
to
take
bear,
any
girl.
responsibility for that. He said he doesn't blame me, but I still want to show him through my actions that I will always be there. My parents have been pretty much losing their crap this entire time, especially when they found out Dan is with us. As a people pleaser, I'm proud of myself for being firm and maintaining my boundaries. Let's go. You're a recovering CPP. Let's go. Right now, my heart is filled with more love and joy than it has been in a long time. I know life won't always be like this, but my brother is safe and healthy and happy and knows he is loved, and that is everything to me. I am sincerely appreciating what I have. Anyway, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you again for your help and much love to you all. And by the way, I would give much love to you all if you listen to full episodes with stories like this on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. All you got to do is search up OK Storytime, and you've got them all in the palm of your hand. Wow, all of your comments and messages have made me happy, crying all day. I did not expect such an outpouring of love and support, and it is making an already beautiful holiday season even better. The compassion you all have shown us means so much more to me than I can ever say. And thank you all for all the awards. I've been showing Dan all the comments, congratulating him on his sobriety, and he wants to say a heartfelt thank you. Emotions are running high in our house today. This Christmas Eve is one for the ages.
Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Comments, blah, 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 blah. Those are the most annoying things I can listen to.
Dude, you can't do this right now.
Like,
You
I don't
can't do this right
care
now.
that
This is like
people-
one of the most wholesome endings
I don't care that
we have. You can't
I don't
do
care
this.
that people
Chat, set him straight.
I don't care that people gave you comments.
I'm weaponizing
Don't
chat against
don't
you
do that right now to me. I get it. Like maybe we just shouldn't read it. Like you can have that moment, but I don't want to hear about it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of, oh my gosh, so many comments. Oh my gosh, so many people reached out to me. Thank you. Like, okay, cool. I love that. I love how wholesome that is. I love how
Yeah.
life is loved. And you stuck it to your parents. You said, no, you cannot have Jeff. We removed Jeff. You don't have any children now. And we are going to be happy family siblings over here.
My name is Jeff.
And we got some donuts.
We do have some donos. Purple Trader, thanks for the...
We got them here. Okay, joke for Caitlin Cresswell. I was going to try an all almond diet, but that's just nuts.
Ew.
Allie
you put
Ray.
your mouth on it, bro. That's gross.
You know, also, you know whose mic that is? She's gonna be pissed when she sees that.
Don't tell
Oh, it's not gonna be us.
Don't tell
You
her.
have everybody else in chat telling her right now, and she'd be like,
No.
waiting for her to scream,
No.
go,
LMAO, Kimberly Fine says, doctor
Okay,
yourself.
all right, Jolene, I was just being funny. It was a jerk bit, okay?
Yeah, of course he's just being funny.
Do I slightly feel that way?
Guys, okay, no, guys, don't listen to him. I know Riley, and he's a sweetheart, okay?
Do you really know
Riley
me?
is an absolute sweetie pie. Yes, because you made your girlfriend a scrapbook for Valentine's Day.
No, it's for 1 year.
No, it's for your anniversary. Yeah, no,
Don't know.
that's a sweetie pie over there. Sweetie pie.
Anyway, thanks for being a member for 3 freaking months. Thank you for being you. The us is hurting, and you are my escape. The us.
US.
I'm like, we're hurting? Probably. I'm stuck in this chair all day.
Us?
The us
I'm
is
in
hurting.
the us, dude.
Oh, man. Purple Trader, thanks for the 5 buckaroos. Google is 27.
That one doesn't disturb me as much, honestly.
It disturbs me that I have coworkers older than Google.
disturbs me that you're younger than Google.
It disturbs me that you're younger than Google. Well, I knew how to look it up, and you had to learn.
Huh?
It was.
Listen, don't tell me anything. I had to use Google Maps and print those mother effers out. I don't want to hear it from you.
Google Maps. I have MapQuest.
I had TiVo.
I was also, my dad worked in for a computer company, and so when I was like a year and a half, 2 years old, I'm like,
I
messing
had
around on my
moon
laptop.
shoes. What did you have?
Moon shoes.
I had
Moon
You
Reebok.
don't know anything
I had-
about
I had
that.
Reebok
Powered
zigzags.
anti-gravity
I had
shoes.
Reebok zigzags. And
You had Fushigi. Shut your mouth.
You had Fushigi. Shut your mouth. Little Fushigi boy.
and Marcia Van Wormer. Why are graveyards so noisy? Because of all the coffin.
You don't know about that. I had the Amanda Bynes show.
Amanda show. I saw her once. She was not looking good.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was during her downfall.
Carly, don't get into this. You don't want to get into this.
Shout out Amanda Bynes. I hope you're doing better than you were when I saw you.
Everyone's like, oh my God. Yeah. Everyone's like, hell yeah, moon shoes.
Moon shoes, dude. They
What
had to
about
recall
moon
those.
sand?
That was a little after my time, but I know what you're talking about.
We had goosebumps.
Yeah, we just made
I
our
had
own
goosebumps
sand.
too.
Yeah, but we were first.
I had one of the first books I learned how to read whenever I was trying to read was about goosebumps and these kids who choked on chicken bones. It was scary.
I don't remember that goosebumps.
I do remember that for some reason the Goosebump books when I was a kid, they were so unsettling
Yeah.
when I was like 9, and now it's like, I'm like, was I just a little
Bitch.
Wait. No, stop. You can't say that. I was going to say that about myself. You can go to basketball.
Guys.
My husband passed away suddenly. My mother-in-law says it's my fault. Oh my goodness. A few days ago, I lost my husband. I still cannot believe it. I'm still hoping that I'll wake up tomorrow and realize it was all just a bad dream. He came back from work the other day, and after being at home for half an hour or so, he suddenly collapsed. By the way, this comes from Lunda. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, of course, I called the emergency number immediately, and they sent an ambulance to our house. They told me to give him CPR, but even though I tried, I probably didn't do it properly because I never learned it. But also, I'm pretty sure like the statistics of people successfully doing CPR are pretty low. It's not your fault, is my point. You know, my husband basically passed away in my arms. It happened so fast, it was a matter of minutes. Then the ambulance arrived only to confirm his passing. Then the police came too and asked me a lot of questions. The medics took the body away and they told me an autopsy would be required because there was no obvious reason for his passing. I agreed, of course. Even if they hadn't said it was necessary, I would have requested it myself because I had to know why it happened. In my head, nothing made sense because he was just 23 years old. He was young, he was healthy. I couldn't imagine any reason that would make him just passed away. After they all left, I was in a state of shock. It felt as if I was losing my mind. I cried, I talked to myself, talked to God, even though I've never been religious. Then I pulled myself together enough to call my mother-in-law and tell her what happened. My mother-in-law has never liked me. From the moment we got introduced to each other, she didn't like me. I have no idea what I did to make her hate me. I've always been polite to her, so I don't know what her problem is. I know she tried to talk my husband out of marrying me, and after we married, she had as little contact as possible with us. When I told her, she couldn't believe it at first, and then she started to blame me. She was yelling that it's my fault, that I unalived her son, that she's going to make me pay for it. Oh my gosh. I never thought that she'd support or comfort me, but I also wasn't expecting something like this. The next day, a doctor contacted me and told me that the first results of the autopsy revealed the cause of his passing, a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot that had blocked the main pulmonary artery. The doctor basically told me that my husband had no chance.
Oh my gosh.
I could have done nothing, and even if the ambulance had been right there with us, they could have done nothing either. I got a copy of the results and called mother-in-law again. We agreed that she'd come to my house that evening to talk about the funeral and everything. She arrived, and she had the police with her. We live in a quite small town with only one police station, and those were the same officers who came to my house the day it happened. They remembered me, and mother-in-law started telling me that I was an unaliver, that I unalived her son, that I planned it all. She really thought they would arrest me. I showed the police the copy of the autopsy, and they tried to explain to mother-in-law that I didn't do anything, that her son passed away from a medical condition that no one could have caused. She started arguing that they shouldn't believe that paper, that anyone could fake and print such document these days. The officers were really nice to me, told me not to worry, and then left because obviously there hadn't been a crime. Mother-in-law was furious about it and swore that she'd put me in prison one day. I'm not worried about her words because I know I'm innocent and the authorities know it. The next thing is the funeral. My husband and I never really talked about death because we were young and we weren't planning to pass away anytime soon. However, I remember that we attended a funeral last year and my husband said he'd like to be cremated instead of buried when he passed away. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'll cremate him. Mother-in-law wants to give him a traditional burial, and she started yelling at me again when I said he'd be cremated instead. She was like, "Oh, you just want to get rid of the body so there would be no more evidence, right? You planned this."
This is crazy. Oh my gosh. Imagine this tragedy happening. And then there's just this, like, you can't even wrap your head around what has happened. And now you're getting blamed for this.
Totally unacceptable. To give the mother unexcusable, she is also going through what I can imagine, terrible, terrible grief. But that doesn't mean that you have to put up with this. So I feel like just blocking her number, saying like, here, this is the date of the funeral. This is what's going to be happening.
I'm glad that the police know the truth of the situation and that nothing is actually going to happen to OP because of the accusations.
Yeah, I think you just let her know what's going to be happening to her son. Give her those details and, don't respond to anything else because you don't deserve that. However she's going through her grieving process should not, affect you. She also said that she's a Christian and that Christians don't cremate anyone, that it's wrong, and that a person has to return to the ground that God made them from. That's complete BS to me. I won't give in to this at all. If he wanted to be cremated, he will be cremated, and that's it. That's the last thing I can do for him. If she wants to bury something so badly, she can bury the ashes. She's also reproaching me that I allowed them to butcher her son, meaning the autopsy. I was like, what do you mean butcher? That was a necessary procedure. You don't want to know what your son passed away from? Weird. Yeah, I mean, she's accusing you of having something to do with it, and then you get proof, and she's like, well, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, what?
I don't even have the time to mourn. I have to organize the funeral, and I have to fight with her because she's interfering with everything. The music, the place, the coffin. She even didn't want several people to come, and I was like, no, it's a funeral. Everyone who wants to say goodbye to him is welcome, and I won't push anyone away. I've had this huge pressure on me. She's still accusing me. She believes that her son would have lived if he hadn't married me, that he passed away because of the life with me. I understand that she's hurt. She's a mother and she's lost her son, but I don't deserve this attitude. I loved him too. I don't know how I'll manage the funeral with her being there. And I also just wanted to remind you guys, cherish your loved ones. Tell them every day how much you love them, how much they mean to you. Never take them for granted because one moment they're here and the next moment they might be gone. We were married for 2 years only. He was the love of my life, and I thought that we were going to grow old together. But unfortunately, something greater than us had other plans. And there is an update. So sad.
This is so sad. Oh my God.
I think that you have to go to therapy, one. I really hope that you have some other support systems here. Like if there's any possible way that you have like parents or friends or something that could talk to the mother-in-law instead of you having to do it that directly.
Right. And you having to be like the only one that's dealing with her.
Yeah. Because this is just unacceptable behavior.
Yeah. I wonder if there's still a father-in-law in the picture. If there was, that would probably be like the best person to go to.
Any other family member that they have that you can say, hey, I'm going to send you this information over. I don't want to talk to her though. Update. I finally found the time to make a small update about what's going on in my life after I recently lost my husband and had many problems with my mother-in-law. I'd also like to thank everyone for your kind words and advice and all the support I've received in my previous post and in my private messages. I've never thought that strangers could comfort me that much. The funeral was really hard for me, even though it went fine, if you can say that about a funeral. It turned out to be bigger than I had planned because many people loved my husband and wanted to say goodbye to him. The funeral director was amazing, very patient and helpful. One of the police officers who came to my house the day my husband passed away was also there. I explained the whole situation with my mother-in-law to him and asked if he could watch over the funeral in case she decided to start a scene. He was so nice that even though I was willing to pay him, he refused to accept any money from me. He said it didn't feel right to make a business out of something so tragic. Mother-in-law was also there, but fortunately, she didn't make a scene. She didn't yell or do anything inappropriate. However, she was glaring at me the entire time, whispering to some other women, obviously talking badly about me. Still, she didn't try to ruin the funeral. I guess she realized that it was the last time she could see her son, so she held back because she knew I'd throw her out the moment she started anything. The cremation took about 2 hours. During that time, I approached mother-in-law to talk about what we were going to do with the remains. I wanted to reach out to her and take her wishes into consideration since he was her son. I remembered that she wanted a burial instead of cremation, and I understood that she might want a place where she could come, put flowers, or just sit and remember him. So I asked her what she'd like to do with the ashes and offered to bury them if she wanted. What she said next made me realize that I never, ever wanted to speak to her again. She turned to me and said, "Shove them up your butt."
Oh, wow.
How can you just be such a despicable person after your son passes away?
Like, come on. Even if you're just trying to, like, insult, like, OP, this is still your son that you're suggesting.
That's your son's ashes.
Oh, my goodness.
Then she continued, saying that she would make my life a living heck, that I'd never be able to sleep peacefully again, and that she would make sure I got the punishment I deserve for unaliving her son. She is just delusional. She asked how I even dared to speak to her. I was like, if I really unalived my husband, don't you think I'd be arrested already? The police told her I was innocent. The doctors told her I was innocent. The autopsy report said I was innocent. If she doesn't believe professionals, then I don't know what to tell her. I have no idea what I've done to her. Because you don't hate someone out of thin air, you need a reason. All I ever did was love her son. I mean, yes, you need a reason, but sometimes with crazy people, they don't really need a reasonable reason.
Yeah, they're gonna come up with problems and create their own reasons, and especially with someone who's in crazy denial of this happening, or whatever you would call this, I guess. I don't know what stage of grief this would fall into. Especially when someone's in this state of mind, it's like, there's not any reason coming into play here at all.
Since she refused to do anything with the ashes, I have them with me now. I don't know what I'll do with them yet. I like the ideas from my previous post about jewelry or planting a tree, but I haven't decided. Now that everything is over, it seems she has decided to turn the whole town against me. When I return home today, my next door neighbor, a very nice elderly lady, approached me. She told me that people were saying horrible things about me. Like I said before, I lived in a small town where everyone knows everything about everyone. I hate it here, and my husband hated it too. We were saving money to move to a big city where no one would know us. My husband was 23, I'm 25, and I'm already attracting attention as the youngest widow they've seen in a long time. In small towns, rumors spread like wildfire. My neighbor told me that people were saying I unalived my husband, that I bribed the police, and that's why I wasn't arrested. People don't know how bribes work.
This is crazy.
I'm sorry, you can't just bribe the police for unaliving. They claimed mother-in-law came to my house and found medicine that causes blood to clot abnormally, which is how my husband supposedly got his embolism. They say he was cremated just to get rid of all the evidence. They even claimed I had been hitting him all the time, just complete lies. I think most people don't believe it, but there are definitely some who do. Of course, such rumors don't start by themselves. Someone has to spread them, and I can only imagine one person who would want to do this. Mother-in-law. I can't prove anything, but she did say she'd make my life miserable, and that's exactly what she's doing. I'm planning to move anyway. I don't want to live in this house anymore because everything here reminds me of the day my husband passed away, and it's really hard for me. But it's still disgusting that she's making people think I'm an unaliver. And then there's some news. This time something more pleasant, okay? Once the funeral was over, I tried to return to my everyday life. I realized my period was late. At first, I thought it was because of all the stress I had been through over the past weeks, but it turns out that I'm pregnant. I'm having mixed feelings about this. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm happy because now it doesn't feel like my husband is completely gone. I'm going to have a part of him. I know he would have been happy too. He passed away without even knowing we were going to have a child. But this is my first pregnancy and I'm really scared. I don't know what to expect. I'm worried I won't be a good mother, that I won't make it through birth, that I won't know how to take care of a baby. I've never even held one before. I also didn't know I was pregnant, so I drank a few glasses of wine at the meal after the funeral. Now I'm terrified that I might have seriously hurt the baby. You have not. Drinking a couple glasses of wine is not going to hurt your baby. Don't worry. It's more about drinking a lot of wine while you're pregnant. And now the question is, do I tell mother-in-law about the baby? Should I tell her that I'm expecting her grandchild? Honestly, no.
Yeah, at this point, especially not this early.
Yeah, I'm incredibly worried that she's going to try and do the grandparents' rights thing. Leave the town. The thing is that you don't want to have any contact with her anyway. So, like, what would telling her about the child do other than her trying to take custody?
Maybe when you're like much further along in the pregnancy or something, just kind of like telling like the whole family on his side or something like that. I don't know. I mean, especially not this early because you wouldn't want to do it this early anyway. But oh my goodness. Yeah, she's definitely going to try something crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to wait until you've got like a solid job, place to live, so she can't say anything. I cannot hate for a long time. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't expect it to make our relationship any better, but if I move away to live somewhere else, she'll never know that she has a grandchild. But it's the child of her son. She's the grandmother, and maybe she should have the rights to know about the existence of her grandchild. Whether or not she wants to be in their life would be her choice. And wouldn't it be unfair to the child to prohibit them from knowing her? I've no parents anymore, so she's their only living grandparent. By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left of the story. I mean, maybe later she deserves to know, but you got to be so careful because I think if she found out now, she would absolutely try and get grandparents' rights and take your baby away.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to find some sort of like support group or something, people that can help you, especially if you don't have any parents anymore, if you don't have like much family at all. Maybe like find people that can be there for you and support you and be in this journey with you, and then establish that, and then maybe tell her. Hopefully you have enough money to also move away to do that, but you know, babies are expensive, so who knows. But wow, oh my goodness.
But again, like, she's been really awful to you. So I think realizing that her finding out will not improve your relationship.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Like, if you guys already decided to cut no contact, like before he passed away or anything like that, then she wouldn't need to know about the baby that way. So I think it could work the same way.
She didn't want to be a part of your life when your partner was alive. So from the other side, she's been treating me so horribly and she's been so mean to me that I honestly don't want anything to do with her. Also, I'm worried that she might tell the child the same thing she's been telling the whole town, that I unalived their dad. I don't want her to put those lies in their head. My friend said that with this attitude, she doesn't deserve a grandchild. What would you say? And there are some comments. Comment 1 says she deserves nothing. What a horrible, cruel person. I'm so sorry for your loss and that you can't grieve properly due to her antics. She doesn't deserve to know her grandchild, and I hope your child brings you comfort in these trying times. I know I lost my fiance when I was 21 in a motorcycle accident and subsequently the child I was carrying 2 months later. Take care of yourself now. That is what's most important. Bless you. Please post when you can and let us know how you are. I'll be thinking of you. And that is the end of the story.
Oh my goodness, so many tragedies.
But at the end of the day, prioritize you and your baby's health. Anything that would bring you stress, do not do.
That will cause complications. But oh my goodness, what a crazy story.
My grandmother is a nightmare. I don't want her in my children's life.
Nightmare. Hey everybody, this is the trigger warning at the top of the video. It might look a little weird because this is just a heavy story. The grandmother in this story goes through a lot of medical problems. She is...
Sit tight, friends. This is a long story that actually ended up stretching out over 43 years. We didn't learn most of it until last year. My 26, mom, 48, was born in South Georgia. Her mom and dad divorced when she was little, and her mom, Charlotte, remarried to my papa, who adopted my mom when she was 5, I think. By the way, this comes from Chronic Zeeb, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my brother and I never even knew our papa wasn't her biological father until I was maybe 14 and he was 11. We only found out because her biological grandmother found her on Facebook, and my mom had a breakdown because she didn't know what to do. Charlotte told her all her life that her biological father was this mean, heavy drinker who mistreated them both, and that she had to fight to leave and save themselves from him. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened.
She just was like, my character arc needs to be juicier.
Charlotte came from a really messed up family and had 13 brothers and sisters. When they were little, there was an accident, and her 3-year-old brother tragically lost his life. It was just an awful thing they all saw and lived through. Her mom was a victim of really bad DV, and when Charlotte was 13, her dad took his own life in front of all of them. Oh my God. I think she was 16 or 17 when she had my mom. My mom's biological father was in the military. She actually left when he was stationed somewhere, and he came home to an empty, unfurnished house with only a kitchen table and divorce papers on the table, already signed. Charlotte had a lot of health problems. She got toxic shock syndrome when my mom was in high school, and my aunt was about to start middle school. Sorry, I forgot to mention, Charlotte and my papa had my aunt when my mom was 7. She was actually supposed to be a boy, so the newspaper that announced her birth had her picture with the boy name, which had to be converted to the girl version. Charlotte spent a lot of time in the hospital and almost passed away, but eventually pulled through. However, my mom was responsible for literally everything at home, aside from help with bills and groceries from Papa's paychecks. She was using her own paychecks to cover the rest. There was a lawsuit against the hospital because they left a sponge inside Charlotte during the surgery, and she needed to clean out the infection.
They left the sponge in there after the surgery to clean the infection.
Oh no.
She already had the infection. They went in, cleaned it up, left the sponge inside. That is pretty bad.
There's a Good Doctor episode about someone leaving a towel inside someone after surgery. I don't understand how you forget that in there.
Sometimes you put so much stuff in there, you just lose track.
They had to go back and do another clean out surgery because she went septic due to that sponge. She retired from work, and they lived off that settlement money, her disability, her retirement, and Papa's income after that. Growing up, my brother and I loved being at their house and spending time with them. Things stayed good between all of us until my mom got that message from her paternal grandmother. When she brought it up to Charlotte, we saw the reaction she had and the nasty accusations she made about my mom's biological father. That's when we saw the side of her that my mom talked about growing up with. Charlotte was really good at emotionally manipulating the people around her. She always had to have the last word in any argument. She once hit my mom on the head with the house phone when they were fighting, and my mom was trying to call someone to come get her. Admittedly, it was an older guy she was seeing at the time, but she learned her own lessons. When my mom tried to run away, they had her admitted to a psychiatric facility for a month. Charlotte had done a decent job of hiding her malicious behavior from my brother and me. However, my mind matured a lot faster than my brother's, so I understood more of what was going on, especially when she and my papa would argue and bicker. She was the worst kind of petty, LOL, but I took her actions as lessons. I learned to be equally as petty, but in a just way and only when warranted. The year after I graduated high school, Charlotte got really sick. She started having absent seizures, went unresponsive, and had to be taken to the emergency room by ambulance. She stayed in the ICU for 90-something days before being transferred to a rehabilitation center inside a hospital in our state, rather than the next state over, where she had been. My aunt had a miracle baby with her now ex-husband when I had just finished 5th grade. I knew pretty quickly that she was the new favorite of the family, but she was also my favorite too. And I helped take care of her from the day she was born to this very day.
I like that. I knew right away she was the favorite child because she was my favorite child.
Because I loved her too, and she's the best. When Charlotte came out of her coma, she ended up having staph pneumonia. Dang, this girl cannot catch a break. Which was worsened by COPD and emphysema. They put her in a medically induced coma to give her lungs and body a chance to heal. When she saw me and my brother, she scoffed and asked why her favorite wasn't there. That hurt. My mom was very insistent that it wasn't really her talking, that her brain wasn't like it was before. But looking back on it, I'm pretty sure she just forgot how to keep her true form concealed. She eventually got to come home and was on permanent oxygen because her lungs were scarred and she couldn't sustain an O2% of 90 or above without it. She pretty much just started living on the couch in the living room, buying jewelry and clothes off TV shopping networks. She'd give backhanded compliments when someone said or did anything, then get mad at us when we didn't want to come up and see her. because she would hurt our feelings every single time. She started picking more fights with my papa. They'd get into screaming matches, and she'd call my mom or my aunt to pitch them this poor, pitiful me story about how my papa was being mean to her. It just escalated until it all blew up last year. Charlotte's sister had moved her camper into their backyard until she found a lot she liked with an open spot to park it. She had been a widow for a good 6 or 7 years, so it was just her. Charlotte had to go back to the hospital periodically for random things. Most of the visits happened after big fights she'd pick with my papa. A little while after her sister came to stay with them, Charlotte ended up having to stay in the hospital for almost a month. When she came back home, she accused my papa of having an affair with her sister because her sister had been hanging out in the house until after dinner before going back to her camper. However, this was what she did before Charlotte went to the hospital, so it wasn't unusual behavior, especially when they've been in-laws for almost 4 decades. And she hadn't even been on a single date with any other man since her husband passed, and still hasn't to this day. Papa took the bait, and they started arguing. She began screaming insults at him from the couch, and he went to get close to her face to tell her to knock it off. When he went to prop himself up so he wouldn't fall over, his knee hit her hip, and she called the cops, saying he full force kneed her, and she needed help because she feared for her life.
Well, she sounds like a real gem, but like accidentally, right?
Yeah, it seems like. My aunt lives next door, so she was there before the cops arrived. Papa tried to explain what happened and that he hadn't even been in the same room as her since the whole thing happened, but they took him to jail anyway on DV charges. The next day, he was released, given a court date, and a restraining order was filed for both of them. Oh my goodness. His brother lives on the same road, so he went to stay with them until he was allowed to stay at the camper on the lake lot that he and Charlotte had. However, Charlotte would call the cops and tell them Papa was driving up and down the road stalking her when he was literally inside his brother's house.
Man, so this sounds like back in the day where you couldn't confirm all of this behavior.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay.
43 years worth of the crap. It's like, thank God for CCTV, right? And pocket phones.
Then Charlotte decided she needed to go to the ER to be seen for the bruise on her hip. By the way, she was on blood thinners, which makes you bruise easily. My mom was the one to help her on her end of the divorce proceedings, and my aunt was the one to help Papa with his side of things. But nobody was taking sides. Everyone was still there for both of them, just at separate times and places. My mom sat there while Charlotte told literally every single person she spoke to that she was in the hospital because her husband beat her. She was going through so much because of that. Literally everybody she saw, she told them that Papa had never been physically violent towards her. But after all those years of manipulation and narcissism, I wouldn't blame him if he thought about it, to be honest. Yikes. However, everyone who has ever known him and been around him knows he has never hurt her on purpose and never would. My mom even tried to sit down and talk to Charlotte, trying to help her see that she wasn't being truthful about what happened. She begged her to just drop the charges against Papa. Charlotte looked her in the eye and said she wanted to teach Papa a lesson.
Yeah, the lesson was you should have never married me. That's the lesson.
After that, she started picking fights with my mom even more. She stopped using oxygen and claimed that God had healed her lungs and that it was such a blessing. Everything was such a blessing until you pissed her off. She started smoking again and stopped eating anything other than fruit because she wanted to lose weight. She was maybe 150 pounds, but wanted to be down to 95 pounds because that was what she weighed when she and Papa got married. The first divorce meeting they had between themselves when their lawyers happened the day after she had given me things for the little place my partner and I got. She had also written a check for my daughter's school tuition for the next school year. That same day, she was telling me and my mom that she was setting things up for when Papa came home the next day. Aren't they getting divorced?
Pick a lane, Grammy.
Also, she had been calling and trying to see him constantly after she got back from a second hospital stay. She had OD'd on her pain meds, and they also found out she indulged in my papa's stash of spicy leaves. Right as we were about to leave, my mom finally snapped. She called Charlotte out for drinking too much Delulu lemonade.
Holy crap. So grandma's getting freaking absolutely obliterated, it sounds like.
They started cussing at each other, and Charlotte told her to get out and never come back. Remember when I said my mom was helping her with everything? That included helping her start new bank accounts in only her name, so she would have access to her funds while Papa's would be separate in his own new account. The next day, after their big exchange of words, Charlotte was handed the harsh reality that Papa was not coming back, and the divorce was standing firm. Yeah, the divorce that you initiated.
Now this is really becoming substance behavior. Like, this is someone who is fully checked out of reality right now.
Clearly. She snapped on everyone. She accused my mom of being a spy for Papa. She told my aunt she wanted nothing to do with her and that she only had her in the first place for Papa. But she never wanted her.
Auntie caught a stray. She said, by the way, I hate your dad and I wish you didn't exist. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Then the day after that, she called the cops on my mom, accusing her of stealing $502 from her from an account that wasn't even open yet. She's like, there's no money in my account. And the bank's like, sorry, ma'am, there isn't an account.
She called the bank being like, where's my money? They're like, the account's still being processed.
A couple of days later, she called the cops on my aunt saying she and my mom stole her pain meds. Yeah, they did take them, but they took them because she was ODing. The ER doctors had taken her off the patch she was using. That's what they took to keep her safe. They were old patches with higher doses than she was supposed to be taking. They took every one of them straight to her doctor that same day and explained the situation. Luckily, no charges were filed. Then we found out that Charlotte had to leave Papa's house because it was his house. It was willed to him by his parents before they passed. When I tell you this witch took everything, she left the fridge, the oven, a chair, maybe 5 dishes, and everything from my aunt's birth and infancy. Oh, she also took my mom's childhood books. That's also another stray caught by the aunt. She left all of the aunt stuff. Ouch.
It's like she's a cartoonish level of like bad. Like I'm trying to think of like a cartoon, like a pop culture reference. This gives off the vibes of like the hotel workers from the Wonka movie, which I hate that I just outed that I've seen the Wonka movie with Timothy Chalamet, but she's just a cartoon villain.
Papa had one baby photo of himself and one photo of his parents, and she took them both. Why?
Because she's twisting her villainous mustache right now.
There was a hallway completely covered in picture frames of everyone through various stages of their lives. My children's pictures, their toys, literally everything. I stopped answering her calls and started avoiding her. She left me a voicemail holding my daughter's tuition and the household items she gave me over my head, saying I should be more grateful and that I needed to talk to her, guilt-tripping the heck out of me. She traumatized her so-called favorite grandchild by going next door to where she and my aunt live. She banged on all the windows and doors trying to be let in, screaming like a banshee. My cousin was literally curled up on the floor in the fetal position, sobbing. She was so scared. You want to hurt everyone I hold dear to my heart and then demand we just talk to you and grow up? Absolutely not. Then my mom decided she wanted to look and see if she could find any of her paternal family members. She wanted to reach out to them and try to hear about what happened in South Georgia. Boy, did we find answers. It turns out my mom had an aunt on his side with about the same age gap as my mom and her sister. Charlotte had talked to her about my mom, but the aunt said she loved that little girl like she was her own. My mom found her first out of that side of her family. She told my mom that Charlotte was mean as a snake to her and would pull her hair whenever she did something Charlotte didn't like. That made me think back because she actually used to do that to me when I was little, and I had just blocked it out. My mom's biological father remarried a few years later. He and his wife have been together ever since. Her aunt ended up sending my mom a link to his wife's profile, and she reached out to her. The reason Charlotte fled South Georgia the way she did wasn't to save her and my mom. She had a DFCS case open against her because she had left my mom home alone to go sneak around with a neighbor down the road. Someone heard her crying and called the cop.
I know the CS stands for Child Services, but what is DF? But oh my God, this woman neglected her kids to the point of being formally reported to an agency. Color me shocked.
Someone heard her crying and called the cops. Her biological father had to pick my mom up from the police station. He went back to base, and the next time he came home, they were gone with just about everything else. My mom told us stories about how she remembered when Charlotte and Papa started dating. They'd take her with them to get ice cream, then drop her off at Charlotte's mom's before going on their real date. At least she learned to find childcare. We got to meet my mom's paternal family at Thanksgiving last year, and it was the first family function on my mom's side where we didn't feel stressed out or have our feelings hurt. They're such kind and good people, and it broke my heart that we missed out on so much because of Charlotte. He missed 43 years of my mom's life. That is devastating.
Yeah, it is. There was a lot of comments being like, could this be like dementia or like something she needs to get tested? It's like, nope, she's been terrible for her whole life.
And there wasn't anything he could have done about it because she made sure to bury his name in the mud. He missed seeing his grandkids grow up. He missed every single big moment in my mom's life, and it hurt him so deeply. You could see it on his face. For Christmas, we gave them a big picture collage of different photos of all of us through the years.
Cry Cry.
My mom was able to get him a copy of her wedding pictures and gave them one, and it was like they just won the lottery. This is so sad. She talks to them every single day now, and they've built a great relationship. It's something that should have happened a long time ago, but it makes my heart smile knowing that her internal wounds are healing from the emotional scars left by her own mother. The only one of us that's kept any contact with Charlotte is my aunt, and that was only because Charlotte was back in the hospital with severe internal bleeding. She has dropped to 83 pounds, was basically only consuming cigs and diet pills, and ended up with a hole in her intestines. My aunt told her she wanted to go to therapy together and work on repairing the relationship. Charlotte scoffed and said she had nothing to heal or be sorry for.
Except for the intestine. Gotta heal that. Although, a hole in your intestine, what a great way to lose weight. It's terrible. Do not put holes in your intestines, folks. Do not do that. I was being facetious.
My aunt gave up, left her phone number, and told her to only call her in an emergency. Charlotte lived on her sister's couch for a while. Yes, the same one she accused my papa of having an affair with. One day, she pooped everywhere, clogged the toilet, and then demanded her sister go and get a plunger and fix it. Her sister laughed, said she had plans, and left. Charlotte was gone by the time she got back. She had walked down the street and started staying on a stranger's house until she found an apartment after realizing the divorce was actually happening.
Just gonna completely skip over what we just read.
She'd find a stranger.
That's what you're hung up on?
She just went to a stranger's house and started living there?
Yeah, she probably just walked down. She didn't know someone in your neighborhood. It's the old lady who lives in your neighborhood, and she's like, I need to sleep on the couch. Are you just going to be like, no, old lady, leave my house?
I would be like, let's find you something else. Let's call people. I'm not letting you live in my house.
We all know what I'm caught up on right now. How do you simultaneously poop everywhere and then also clog the toilet? How do you do both of those things at the same time? I don't know how I do that.
Of course, before that, she spread a rumor that my papa was seeing a widow in town because she saw his truck in her driveway. Except it wasn't his truck, it was her daughter's. She mailed us each a letter, but they were basically copy-pasted, and we knew they were insincere. She guilt-tripped my papa into telling us how sad and lonely she is, and that we should go see her. I tried to be respectful as I declined. I don't know if it's everything I've seen her put us through, or if I'm just a butt, but I'm not gonna feel sorry for someone who literally made the bed they're laying in. She even wrote in the letter she sent to my kids that she wanted them to spend the night with her. That almost made me barf because I absolutely will not have my babies around people who can't be trusted. I mean, I would not leave a child with her when she literally took your mom away from her father for like years.
She's going to yank on those kids.
They stopped asking about her, and we don't bring her up unless we have to. And I want to bring up that you guys can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search a book of Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
You are justified, I think, in feeling your grandmother is a rotten egg. You know, is it fully her fault? Who's to say, right? Who's to say anything? Are we the way that we are because we have chosen to be this way? Or are we a collection of experiences and subconscious desires that are all tied up in like a human body? I don't know. She sucks.
And there is a little bit left. It sucked, but we ended up finding better relationships with family that actually treat us like family instead of pawns in a game. I mean, you got all of your paternal grandfather's side, so, that's not nothing. They just want our time and company, and that's so much more valuable than anything she took with her. I just hate that we've all had to go through this experience together, but I'm very thankful that we all stood together and we're all better off for it. Thank you for reading and going on this crazy train wreck of a journey. And that is the end of that story.
And that's that. Sometimes you're just a rotten egg for your whole life. And that's a real sad thing to really think about.
Yeah, because you lose everyone around you. My mother-in-law is bad-mouthing me behind my back, so I drew a line.
You draw that line, girl.
So I've had major issues with my mother-in-law in the past, to the point where I blocked her. I gave birth to my daughter, also the first grandchild for them, in September. I am exclusively no bottles, pumping, etc., and have had a hard time with the baby, honestly. By the way, this comes from DJ1418, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, she had oral ties that had to be revised, a major dairy allergy, and colic. Now, at 10 weeks, we are finally getting a grip on things, but we're still struggling some. She literally won't sleep anywhere but on me and hates anyone else holding her. With that being said, my mother-in-law and I have a rocky relationship, but I'm trying. I unblocked her 1 month before the baby came and have been trying to build a relationship. She is overbearing, expects to see the baby constantly, and texts us for updates every single day. I have had 2 or 3 separate conversations with her in the last 3 months about expectations. My spouse and I even went to counseling over this. I told her what we talked about and how I didn't know how to explain to someone what a normal amount of communication and time spent would be. It could be 2 weeks before she sees the baby, or we could see her 3 times in a week. It just depends on what's going on in our lives. Spouse and I also bought a house right before the baby was born. We are finishing our basement, we own a business, and we had an employee quit while I was on maternity leave. Mother-in-law knows all of this. The reason I'm posting. I suspected she was trash talking me because family members and friends of hers started deleting and even blocking me on social media. But technically, I had no proof it was because of her, and my spouse wouldn't listen. Yesterday, her niece, my spouse's cousin, came to visit the baby. She told us that his mom had been telling everyone I'm being unreasonable and that I'm just trying to keep her from seeing my baby. She claims that everyone else is allowed to visit whenever they want, but mother-in-law can't, etc. The cousin said she wanted my side of the story. I was vague with my side because I don't feel the need to defend myself. They all already believe her anyway, and I'm not like her. The issues lie between us, and I don't feel like it's anyone else's business. This cousin was also one of the people who deleted me from socials, and I wasn't even sure I wanted her to visit anyway. None of this is true. My mother-in-law has been over to see the baby more than literally anyone else in our lives. My sister stayed for a week when the baby was born, not to spend time with the baby, but to support me postpartum. Which is what people should be offering.
Absolutely.
They should be offering to help you, the person who just gave birth.
Yeah.
She helped me learn to clean my whole house for a week and cooked us 60 freezer meals so I wouldn't have to worry. She lives 2 hours away, and even that was the most time she has spent with us due to having her own family. I just cannot wrap my head around all of this. I don't feel like I have my spouse's support, and it's making me want to go no contact with his mom again. Also, why would I want someone who talks about me like that to the whole family around my child? My spouse has said nothing, and I'm fed up. He doesn't understand. He told me all he wanted was for me to try with his mom, and I have, but she's still talking crap about me. I'm just tired. I don't have the energy for this. The fact that she did this throughout my whole pregnancy and now while I'm postpartum, dealing with various issues with my child while also being an FTM, is so selfish. It is making me genuinely hate her at this point. If she really loved and cared about us in any way, she would be understanding and not making our lives harder. My spouse's response. I'm really upset with him because he has only said something to her once. So frustrating. This is why you have a problem with your mother-in-law, because your husband is not putting up any boundaries.
Yeah.
The conversations I have had with her were ones I wanted him to have, but he refused. So I finally had them myself and made sure he was there when I did. I feel like this is his mother and he should be standing up for me and addressing her behavior, but he just isn't. He should be.
Absolutely.
He won't even listen to me when I bring it up. Then weeks later, he'll say I already talked to him about it and doesn't understand why I'm still bringing it up. Except he never responds. He looks at me or doesn't when I talk about it, and he has nothing to say. He claims it's between mother-in-law and me and that he can't do anything about it. I hate this man. Divorce. Come on.
Come on, man. It's your mom.
Yeah, like he has nothing to do with it. If your partner is having a problem with your parent, you are the mediator.
Yeah.
You are the go-between.
Like, sorry. Don't know what to tell you. It's just true.
Even his cousin told him that maybe mother-in-law just needed to hear it from him, not me. Because coming from me, it sounds like it's just what I want, not what we want. So therefore, in their eyes, I'm just an unreasonable person who doesn't like his mom or want her around. Mostly just venting, but what would you do in this situation? And there is an update. Honestly, I think you need to sit your husband down and say, hey, we might need to go to marriage counseling because you're not listening to me. And you are putting all of this pressure on me to sort out my relationship with your mom when you need to pull some weight around here.
Yeah, like if you were having an issue with my mom, I would step in because as a partner or like a child-in-law, you don't have as much say as the actual blood child, you know? You just don't. So you gotta let it come from the husband.
True. But let's get into this update and see what OP does. Exactly what the title says. I'm not going to rant much about our history, but I recently found out mother-in-law has been talking crap on me to my in-laws. You can see the post in my history. And I contemplated not going to Thanksgiving yesterday, but I decided since I am exclusively breastfeeding, not pumping, and my baby can't go without me, and mother-in-law is the biggest issue, and I wanted to see some of the family that I do love and get along with, father-in-law's side, I would try to go, and also for my spouse's sake. My baby is 10 weeks old and hates the carrier, so I was originally going to baby wear, but that was not an option, So I had to tell everyone we weren't going to be passing her around since she's so little and it's sick season. My mother-in-law didn't say hi to me, didn't make literally any type of conversation with me. I could tell she was pissed that we weren't going to let her hold baby. Came up and spoke to my baby one time and at a time when I had walked away from the crowd because she was getting tired and fussy. So it was literally the worst time to interrupt. I just walked away from her until she got the picture. But she didn't say a word to me and I couldn't be happier. On a side note, I hate this for spouse really because she ignored him too. But hopefully this is eye-opening for him as well. He needs some eye-opening. He needs her to behave badly to him too because it's a him problem and it always has been a him problem too.
Yeah.
Update 2. I'm not sure if this is allowed, but I just wanted to express that with some of the issues I've been having with mother-in-law and my significant other in turn, it has caused me to do a ton of self-reflection, research, and I am seeking out therapy for myself. Hopefully we'll also get couples therapy, but he's not wanting to go back at the moment. I came across the term enmeshment and have never heard the term before, but oh my God, this is my situation to a T. This is why it's mother-in-law, but also significant other all this time. It's not his fault, and he feels it's normal, which we know and have discussed previously in therapy. But now I have a word to describe the relationship and what's going on. It's not necessarily that she wants to date him or is creepy in that sense, though I've often wondered if it borders this, but it's because I was uneducated on things such as enmeshment. She is emotionally dependent on him, and in return, he is emotionally dependent on her. Whether they realize it, I don't think they do. Now that I have learned this term, I am seeing things in a whole new light, and everything is making so much sense. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It may be eye-opening for you as it has been for me. And there is a third update.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say they are definitely a little bit too tied up together because he's like, oh, I'm a mama's boy and I don't want to upset my mom.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, well, what if she's doing upsetting things?
Yeah, what if she is doing things to actively hinder peace in our life? What are you going to do?
You're going to stand up for yourself.
You gotta sit there on the sidelines like a coward? Update 3. So you can look at my past posts and see what we've been dealing with recently. Basically, in-laws invited us for Christmas Eve dinner, which I was not going to go anyway, because they refused to accommodate my little one's dairy allergy. And she said she was making chicken parm. Oh, I see, because OP can't eat that stuff, because it would affect the milk, I see. I'm still not interacting with mother-in-law after she's been spreading lies about me. And my family had Christmas on Christmas Day this year, and I had food to prepare, presents to wrap, etc. They never gave my spouse a time, and typically dinner has meant 4 to 6 p.m. in the past. They live very close, and my spouse was going to follow up at 3 p.m. or so to see when mother-in-law wanted him to come. At 2 p.m., she texted him and said, I guess you're not coming. He immediately called and texted her, and she read his text and ignored him. So he didn't go. That's it. That's the drama this week. The kind of update to my previous posts, significant other is starting to come around and see his mother-in-law's behavior for what they truly are. I think it's just hard for him because it's been his norm and it's his mom. He finally had a full conversation with me about the recent drama in my previous posts and agrees that mother-in-law is overbearing and overstepping and in the wrong. We are still figuring out what to do that is best for our family, so she'll just have to wait while we process her lies and crap talking. But with Christmas Eve, she's not helping her case with my spouse, that's for sure. I'll update when we decide to have a conversation with mother-in-law and father-in-law. Or to give you Christmas drama, because we're having a big Christmas gathering for his family this weekend. To be continued into the next update. Wow. It keeps going.
So many updates.
I think you just got to combine them, OP. Update 4. So as I stated in my other post, I was struggling with my SO a bit. He's not used to saying no or setting boundaries with his family, and this has been a challenge for him. He doesn't like to talk about it or entertain conflict of any sort. That's obvious. So we took a month, and I had multiple conversations with him until I felt like we were on the same page, and also to let myself cool down. I'm 3 months postpartum, and I'm having a hard time with my emotions as well. I finally felt like we were on the same page. I feel like there's a shoe that's about to be dropped.
Yeah.
So we had mother-in-law and father-in-law over, and my spouse initiated a conversation. He pointed out that we are disappointed in mother-in-law's behavior, that it is causing animosity and stress that we shouldn't have to be dealing with in this time in our lives, and that it is making me uncomfortable to the point that I don't even want to go to family events because I don't know who's saying what about me, and I don't feel supported in my decisions as a mother or our decisions as a family. They have continued to pressure us to have more visits with them, even though they know we have had quite a rough time with little one in her first few months of life, not including other aspects of her life. The business, buying the house, finishing the basement, etc. I really feel like he did a great job standing up for me, so I'm very proud. As far as mother-in-law and father-in-law's responses, she tried to argue and say they weren't pressuring us for more visitation. I doubt that. The whole time they've been pressuring for visitation. I don't think that they're going to be like, oh no, that's not what we want. What are you talking about? We've never complained about that.
Right.
I guess maybe the significant other is putting in some work, but not enough for me. My spouse cut her off and said that when he had FaceTimed them and discussed her talking crap about me, that was the biggest topic of that conversation. So we called her out for, again, not being truthful.
All right, we're making some progress.
Father-in-law pointed out that I am very non-traditional and it is something that they are having to get used to, which I agree with and am understanding of to an extent. Mother-in-law said she didn't understand why I had issues with her and not father-in-law. I told her it doesn't feel like he's judging me or pressuring me when he asks questions or when we have discussions. She, on the other hand, is forceful and it feels like judgment, like it's her way or the highway type of deal. A situation that was discussed that I hadn't mentioned prior, they brought a family member to our home on one occasion when I was very newly postpartum without telling or asking us. That's not okay. With a little baby at home and you don't even say like, hey, they're coming over.
Not cool.
Later, we discussed that we would like them to let us know if they're bringing people to our home. Mother-in-law told said family member, and they all took it personally. Now that family member has ignored me at all family events, etc.
This is crazy.
You dumb idiot. I hate them. Why are you making so many problems when this parent is just trying to take care of their kid?
Yeah. Come on. Leave her alone.
Leave her alone. We also discussed their friends who are family friends my spouse is close with. 3 or 4 different couples blocking and deleting me on social media. Mother-in-law claimed she had no idea why, except for one of them. She said it was because I had blocked that person for a time when we were in the thick of it during my pregnancy. I told her how uncomfortable I am around 3 of the 4 couples, and that because they're such a large part of my spouse's life, I'm not sure what to do to make things better. However, I never did anything to them in the first place, so the issue is that mother-in-law was talking negatively about me. She insisted she should be able to talk to her family and friends. We also discussed family that deleted/blocked me on social media. Opie is just getting like everyone's.
Oh my gosh.
And said that if they reacted that way, it wasn't because she told them to. I obviously never thought she directly told them to block me. I think she was just talking crap and giving one-sided stories. I told her it's not fair that I'm an individual and an outsider coming into this family, yet she's spreading things about me when I barely had a chance to form personal relationships with these people. Sometimes you can't just talk to everyone about everything. I told her she should have come to me or us if she had issues or concerns. She also complained that she cried on Christmas Day because we didn't spend it with them, saying everyone was asking her if we were. But we had discussed this earlier in the year. We do every other holiday with his family and mine. This year, it was Thanksgiving Day with them and Christmas Day with my family. Next year, they will have Christmas Day. I told her being disappointed or unfamiliar with our boundaries is okay, but saying whatever she is saying in the heat of the moment to family and friends is not okay. She is painting me as a monster when, in fact, all the boundaries we have placed are our boundaries as a family. Singling me out is unacceptable. I don't know if I missed anything, but I just told them they can ask questions about things they are unfamiliar with or when they have concerns. We can find common ground or reiterate that these are our decisions, but nothing will ever get better if she keeps discussing our issues with everyone but us. It's much better to just sweep all the issues into a nice, neat pile so you can deal with them instead of casting them everywhere, because then you gotta like go around and it's like 50 card pickup. It takes forever.
Exactly. It's like you have like a issue tree. And instead of going straight for the roots, you're just like pruning the leaves over and over. And it's like, what's that gonna do?
Nothing. Some of the things we've done that she has taken issue with include I had a home birth instead of going to the hospital. We are delaying vaccinations and maybe not doing all of them. Edit to add, this has been discussed at length with our pediatrician. I am not looking for medical opinions. We co-sleep with our child. We don't let them show up uninvited whenever they want, and we don't allow them to hold her at a large family gathering since she's so young. We also discussed the cousin confronting me about what mother-in-law has to say about me. Mother-in-law kept claiming that the cousin was in the wrong and that she never said any of those things to her, insisting that the cousin had no right to come to me. I disagreed and said I understood why she came to us. She loves mother-in-law and was obviously trying to help resolve a situation that was upsetting her. Regardless of what mother-in-law did or didn't actually say, She implied or made the cousin think these things by the way she spoke to her. Again, the bottom line is that she is painting a horrible picture of me to friends and family. I am the newest member and an outsider, and she is causing them to see me in a certain way, when in reality, these are our decisions as a family. I had previously told her, due to the issues we were already having, that I wasn't comfortable spending alone time with her and that she could visit when my spouse was around. She brought that up again, saying how shocked and taken aback she was. I told her she had time to respond and or process that information and come back at a later date to discuss it. But instead of doing that, she went and gossiped about it with everyone. Stop, girl. The majority of the conversation was about her speaking to everyone about us, but more so me, not coming to us if she has concerns, and not respecting our boundaries as a family. I also reiterated from our last conversation that healing takes time, and that hopefully we will get to a point where I am comfortable with her alone. However, I cannot tell her how long that will take. She just needs to give it time and stop giving us reasons to take steps backward instead of forward. Looking back now that the conversation is over, we didn't discuss that boundaries have been an issue since before I was even in the picture. This is on my spouse, and I feel it's not my place to bring it up, but he has complained to me about it in the past. I also think we should have mentioned that some of the things we share with them are personal and not meant to be spread to every single family member and friend. That might also be part of the issue. She admitted to sharing everything we've told her with multiple people. I do feel a bit better about everything overall. My spouse definitely had my back and stressed that he was severely disappointed in her behavior. It only took him a hot minute to come around. Honestly, you just have to keep having conversations with your husband to make sure that you continue to stay on the same page about your mother-in-law. We left on good terms, but I am still stressed and worried that we will continue to have similar issues in the future. But I guess this is all for now. Wish me luck that this will be the final major conversation we have to have with them, and that moving forward, things go smoother. Definitely feel like I missed a lot, but I think I covered the gist of it. And edit to add, since assumptions are being made, I thought simply pointing out that we are being supervised by a pediatrician would be enough. I never said I was anti-vax or that I was definitely not going to vaccinate my child. Part of the issue I've had with mother-in-law is her shoving her opinions on us about vaccinations when our pediatrician made suggestions due to issues we have seen in our child. She potentially has, and my family does have, certain allergies. The vaccinations were something we had to discuss with our pediatrician. By the way, I've got to discuss with you guys that you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there's a little bit left to this story. But do you have any final thoughts?
It's just so crazy to me how like obvious it is that communication is like the key to everything.
Would have solved everything so much sooner.
And so many people in this world ignore that.
And also, I was going to say, OP probably would have had a lot less problems with the mother-in-law if her husband had stepped in sooner. It probably wouldn't have gotten to this point where everyone in the family knows about all of your business. If he had stepped in and said, hey, like, Mom, come on.
Right. It's such an easy thing to do.
But oh boy, let's see what is left. We aren't just going against the grain or blindly choosing not to vaccinate. We are still navigating what's best for our child. This was not the main point of the post. This is a mother-in-law sub, and this post was about her lies and overstepping boundaries, not whether I am vaccinating my child or not. I even edited the post to clarify that we are being advised by a pediatrician, and I'm still getting downvoted in the comments. I guess I'll update my flare because I was not looking for opinions on my child's medical care in this sub, or honestly anywhere on the internet. And that is the end of that freaking story. Man, oh man.